To the end unfolding, I'm all this story goes. Promises are breaking, and it feels like you're ghosting now. You fill my empty cup, take it and spill it on me. Yes, I keep falling for things I can't control. Moving on with a heavy heart. Never thought you would get so far away. Why does love gotta be so hard, so hard? Moving on with a heavy heart. Please tell me how long will it take? 'Cause I'm gonna fall to the end unfolding. I know this story goes. Promises are breaking, and it feels like you're ghosting now. You fill my empty cup, take it and spill it on me. Yes, I keep falling for things I can't control. Moving on with a heavy heart. Never thought you would get so far away. Why does love gotta be so hard, so hard? Moving on with a heavy heart. Please tell me how long will it take? 'Cause I'm gonna fall
When the lights go dark, curtains close. End of the night, silence growing loud. Going home to me, myself, and I want the streets alone. Spiraling down so low, then you came along. Made this fragile heart strong. You are the remedy, I know. You cured my soul. You are the remedy, I hope. Not letting go. You gave me the faith I needed. Healed me when I was bleeding. You are the remedy, I know. I know. You are the remedy, I know. You cured my soul. You are the remedy, I hope. Not letting go. Waking up to you, skin to skin. Blink of an eye, captured by the fire you lit. Remember the times I walked the streets alone. Spiraling down so low, then you came along.
something that would give me peace of mind. You make me insecure, I pretend that it's good when I'm not. 'Cause I'm hurting, 'cause I'm bleeding, going crazy. I need you, just cut me, you don't help me. Now because I'm a girl, you need to help me when I'm sad. You want to help me, but I have the guy, baby, I'm enough. I've been looking for something that will give me peace of mind. You make me insecure, I pretend that it's good when I'm not. 'Cause I'm hurting, 'cause I'm bleeding, going crazy. I need you, just cut me, you don't help me. Now because I'm a girl, you need to help me when I'm sad. You want to help me, but I have the guy, baby, I'm enough, yeah. Now because I'm a girl, you need to help me when I'm sad. You want to help me, but I have the guy, baby, I'm enough, baby, I'm enough. Has gone out. The winter fills us with doubt. Always wondered if you made your way back south, or if I'm still the girl you write about. Tell me now, am I too late? Oh, did you shut the door? All I want is to go back, back, back. Please make me Wish you could take the road to me. couldn't find. I guess I never wanted to see the signs. I know I shouldn't reminisce, but you made such a mess of me. I know that I shouldn't miss. I know that there's nothing left for me. Tell me now, am I too late? Or did you shut the door? All is to go back, back,
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Again, the Brian Mansell Show. I'm your host, Brian Mansell. I'm a sports media professional who's worked in the industry for a couple years now. And got a podcast, whatever you want to call it. It really is just a football show. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, letting you guys know, we focus mainly on football, covering so many things. You guys don't believe me? Look at the socks. The socks prove it. It is all football here. And today, we're doing something I've never done before, which is a full mock draft, 7 rounds. I usually do 1 or 2 a year. This year, we're doing a full 7, no issue. For this mock draft, fan input is welcomed. Essentially, I'm going to be deciding the picks in the sense of what I would do, not about what's likely to happen. And so every mock draft has worked for me. So again, if there is something big going on in the sense of, you know, we're in a tight spot in a draft and there's other teams that need positional needs at that spot and another team doesn't know what to pick, makes it easy to do a trade there and make that happen. That's how I typically do trades. If we're in a situation like that, like let's say Washington gets a good offer from Denver, Denver wants to trade up and take a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, I'll execute that trade and make that happen. But you guys have the power to veto that. If you don't like the trade idea, boom, shot right down. That's the control you guys have as the viewers today. It's a lot of control. Before we get into that, first off, how are you guys doing? Give me an update on the chat of how you guys are doing today. You know, what you're excited for in this football offseason that we're approaching now. And, you know, what do you want your team to look for? Do they need a quarterback? Do they need something in the edge spot? Do they need something on the offensive line? Is it a running back? What is it specifically your team needs? The first story we're going to get into before we even get involved in any of this mock draft, mumbo jumbo, we're going to be talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. He's just been suspended for 2 games now and is expected to be released by the Raiders now as well, which means the Raiders' need for a quarterback has now grown. There's now a greater need for a quarterback than there's ever been before for Las Vegas. This is a big deal. And for them, they're so far back, they're not going to be able to get anybody in the top 3 unless they somehow manage to sacrifice their entire future to pull that off. We'll dive deeper into that a little bit when we start the mock draft about some ideas for anybody who could trade up. Because to some experts, the top 3 picks are tradable. But let's talk about Jimmy G first. I feel bad for him. Mainly because the situation he's in with the 2-game suspension, it's not more about he did an illegal substance. It's more about it's a substance, he was taking a prescribed medication that contained a banned substance. And the only way that could have been approved was if he had gone and applied for an exemption. If he would have gotten an exemption to explain that it was for a medical issue that was going to have this in order to resolve the medical issue, he would have been perfectly fine. It's something that happens. Pat McAfee mentioned a little bit about it. You could have applied for an exemption. What it's going to do is it's going to help your muscle growth a little bit, make you a little bit stronger, make you more focused, but it doesn't do anything to really affect your game so much. But it's still considered performance-enhancing drug regardless because it improves your focus and mental stability as well as your physical condition. So you have to get a pre-approved exemption in order to be able to continue taking this drug and not get hit with a suspension. It seems like he didn't do so, and as a result, he's getting suspended 2 games. And something like that creates a void in his contract that led to the Raiders being able to cut him off. So now he's going to get released. They're going to save, I think they said something like $12 million around there for this contract. So their cap space goes up a good amount. They can do whatever they want now. Except for one thing. They can't sign a quarterback. And I'm going to explain why. This QB market is so thin. I want that to be understood. The 2 most attractive quarterbacks are Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins. Cousins coming off a season-ending injury that was, very hard to recover from. You know what it is. If it's an ACL Achilles injury of some kind, you are going to take a while to recover. And there's a lot of questions about your physical condition moving forward. Can you move the same? Can you throw the same? And at his age, being at 35 now, there's serious doubts about it. So there's no guarantee Minnesota re-signs him. But Baker Mayfield, having a career resurgence in Tampa Bay, everybody's going to be after him. But it's expected he's going to go back to Tampa Bay with the conversation we've heard and from reports from Schefter and Rappaport. So that really cuts down the market to borderline starter, really solid backups. And what do I mean by that? Well, let me pull up Spot Rack here, and I'll give you guys a couple names. Again, I've got multiple windows open so we can go through all of this properly. Let's take a look at the quarterback position specifically for this 2024 season. Well, here are some names of guys who are considered borderline starter to solid backup, usually. So here's the main guys. Kirk Cousins, 35 years old. By the time the season starts, he'll probably be around 36 at that point, coming off a season-ending injury that is, again, very hard to come back from at his age. Ryan Tannehill, very similar boat, but minus the injury. Had a very bad year overall. He had 4 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions, threw for 1,600 yards in 10 games played. Not good at all. He's going to be 36 when the season starts. He'll likely be a starter. Not a starter. He'll likely be a backup for somebody, but it's more for the veteran experience. Probably a team with a young quarterback will use him, so keep an eye out for that. Jacoby Brissett, another guy. He wasn't terrible, but it's not a guy you would say is a starter. He's a really good backup for whatever team needs one. Trubisky, he's going to be a backup somewhere. I don't see why he wouldn't get signed. He clearly played and did okay, but nothing that really says, oh my gosh, star. Have to have him as a competitor for a starting position. No. It's you go back and you wonder why the Bears took a second-round pick on him. A second overall pick on him. Tyrod Taylor, going to be 35 when the season starts. I don't see the Giants re-signing him. He statistically wasn't bad. His injuries are just much of a concern. He gets injured every season. There's always concern of some kind. He almost becomes unreliable in a sense. Marcus Mariota, going to be almost 31 when the season starts. Didn't get much playing opportunity, mostly because, again, he was in Philly, and they have Jalen Hurts, who's mostly healthy, who's healthy most of the time. So for Marcus, he's going to be the veteran guy in the room, also just like Tannehill, except he's probably better than Tannehill at this point. Sam Darnold, another guy, is a free agent. You see the trend I'm going at here? Mariota, Darnold, Locke, Minshew, Bridgewater just retired, Huntley, Joe Flacco, Josh Dobbs, Easton Stick, Nate Sudfeld, Blaine Gabbert. You're talking Josh Johnson. Carson Wentz could possibly make a spot as a starter, like to compete for a starter, but I don't know. There's no guarantee with that. Brandon Allen, Kyle Allen, Trevor Siemian, A.J. McCarron just went back to the UFL to go play for the St. Louis Battlehawks. Just signed today. Matt Barkley, Mason Rudolph, Logan Woodside, Felipe Franks, Jake Browning. Jake Browning should be an attractive name to watch who could possibly compete for a starting position. We don't know. He had a very acceptable year. 12 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions for 2,000 yards nearly in 9 games played. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Good enough to be a backup somewhere and get paid a decent amount of backup money or even compete for a starting job depending on the team he goes to. But you guys get the point of the QB market. It's not looking great. They're going to need to figure something out to really make it so they can have a long-term potential for success. And Antonio Pierce just got his contract. He wants to be the long-term head coach. If you're going to be a long-term head coach, you need a long-term quarterback. What better time to do it than now? You've got the draft. Again, prayers up for Garoppolo. I wish the best for him. Whatever team he goes to, he's likely going to be a backup if he signs anywhere. Because here's the big thing with the NFL. That's not talked about enough. With the NFL, when you are accused of drug use and you're suspended for it, even if it's something minor that could even we could even prove maybe not, doesn't even affect your status, doesn't affect your performance. There's like a mark put on you. And the mark is you're treated as a criminal almost. Now, when that happens, it changes the public's perception of you, and it changes the team's mindset of you. That's more of what happens. So for Garoppolo, it's not that he can't keep playing, that he can't be a backup for somebody or even fight for a starting spot for somebody. It's the fact that the man got hit with the suspension for drug use. When, again, it's a prescription drug. It just had a side effect that's going to do that kind of stuff to you, but he didn't get the preemptive exemption in order to really be able to use it and have the NFL approve it. And that's what happens. So now there's going to be this mindset stuck. It's going to affect the teams that sign him. It might be a while before a team signs him. He might be one of the last QBs that gets a contract. And if he goes somewhere, he won't start. He'll be a backup. So let's talk about some teams. What are some teams that really fit Garoppolo before, we go into the mock draft? I want to hear from you guys. What are some teams you think Garoppolo could fit on? I mean, for joke's sake, I would probably say he could play for the Mean Machine with the Paul Crew, backing up Paul Crew. But if we're going to be more serious here, let's think about guys that really need pocket passing ability, a good veteran mind in the room who knows how to coach guys up and make them better. Let's look at some of the young teams who got young quarterbacks that really could use the veteran presence of a guy who thrives on throwing in the pocket and succeeding well in that rather than being a runner. So guys that really need to improve in that aspect. Let's see. What teams have that could really use it? Well, I could see a reunion in New England. That's first. I could see him going back to the Patriots possibly if Gerard Mayo gives him a shot. Lets him get a 1-year contract to be the backup to whatever rookie QB they draft. Likely Jaden Daniels. And let him coach Daniels up a bit. Show him the ropes on how to be a better pocket passer. Even though the kid himself has so much talent. You're talking over 3,000 yards passing and over 1,000 yards on the ground. He's one of the best dual threat quarterbacks coming into this draft. Going to be a machine wherever he goes. So there's one spot. He could work really well there. I think another team you could probably say here could really work with young quarterback, Cincinnati. I think him working with Joe Burrow could be really helpful, helping him with his pocket passing ability. Although he's already good as it is, it's good to have somebody back there who still has like the starting experience, the veteran knowledge. Cincinnati could work. But let's look to the NFC because we're talking a lot about AFC here. You go to the NFC side, let's see. Any team in the NFC East that could really use them, you're talking Giants, you're talking Commanders, Eagles. I would argue the Eagles, but I don't think that would be the case. They want a guy who's more like Tyrod Taylor that could be a good, decent backup to Jalen Hurts. So, and I won't even include the Cowboys here because Dak Prescott is just around close to the age of Jimmy Garoppolo. So I'm going to let that one slide. Let's go to the North. Let's see. Not Goff, and it can't be the Lions, can't be the Vikings. Could it be a backup on the Vikings? Sure. But again, they're going to be in the market for a quarterback if they don't sign back Kirk Cousins. That's the big if, and a lot of people aren't certain about it. Look at the Packers. Packers is actually a really good one. He could go to the Green Bay Packers, be the backup to Jordan Love, and help coach him up as a pocket passer to make him more decisive and a better thrower. That's a good option. The Packers are one. Keep going. Bears? No. Let's go to the South. Falcons? No. Let's say Saints? No. Bucks? No. Panthers? Maybe the Panthers. Maybe the Panthers to get behind Bryce Young, help him out, get his rookie jitters out a bit, show him the veteran knowledge and things of how to control the game better. That's a good idea. Because, again, his problem was really management ability. He struggled in a lot of situations because he really couldn't manage because he had no time to throw and no talent to catch the ball. So having somebody like Garoppolo there would really be helpful. I think that's a good fit. So those are the 4 teams off the top of my head I could come up with. The Patriots, the Bengals, the Packers, and the Panthers. Those are the 4 teams that I think would be a great fit for Garoppolo if they give him the shot. Remember what I said about the substance abuse thing. And it's not even abuse. It's just the fact that he took a performance-enhancing drug that was a result of a side effect from a prescribed medication he was taking that was approved by his doctor. So that you tell me really how hard they're going to crack down on him. I don't know. This is something I haven't heard happens often. Usually it's somebody physically using a steroid and they get caught using it and they get like a 6-game to 8-game suspension. That's typically what happens. This is one of those rare cases where this isn't the case. It's a prescribed drug that had a side effect that he was approved for, and he just didn't get the exemption from the NFL, so they hit him with a 2-game suspension. So again, best for Garoppolo, wish the best for the Raiders, but it was about time for this to happen. and the Raiders needed an excuse to make the release happen and not have to pay the money. This fit perfectly in their plan. They save money, and they move on from the quarterback that they paid all that money to just last season. And with that, we now jump into the mock draft. It's time to dive into the draft room, folks. And for this specifically, I'm going to pull up the highlight scene. Let me just make sure I'm in the right window. And the answer is, well, yes, we are. So let's pull it up. Here we are, folks. Welcome to the draft room. If you guys are new to this, this is the website I specifically use for everything mock draft related. It is NFL Mock Draft Database Simulator. They do the best stuff. Most of your popular media people you see that do their mock drafts, full rounds, short rounds, they use this. So the best thing to do is to, if you guys are really trying to do your own mock drafts, use Mock Draft Database. They do a really good job, honestly. I have not had an issue with them since using it. The only difference was when I made the mock draft, it was a multi-day process because I was trying to take my time and be a lot more decisive in my picks. And what ended up happening was they updated the system after I finished, when I was doing the draft. So once I finished it, there was the update in for the 100th pick for the Rams. That was originally the 100th pick for Washington in the third round. So it was another compensatory pick that wasn't accounted for the first time I did this. And as a result, the mock draft database simulator did not account for it. And it ends up being, a whole new draft. Because I did everything finished. Anything after the 99th pick, I have to redo because I have to account for the fact that the Rams got an extra pick. Now, on top of this, you guys do know, just so you guys know, we also have the sheet. You guys may not be able to access this sheet. This sheet is specifically mine. I will read off the team needs to you as we do this draft. So here's how it works. This sheet is a compilation of every single need of every team from primary to secondary to tertiary and then to the don't need section along with their draft picks. Now, this machine also gives you the picks that they have coming up, and you can also do free-for-all trades. We're going to do a full 7-round 2024 draft. You can also go back to 2017. It's the beautiful thing about this. So we're going to roll with that. So let's start with this. Let's take a look at the page now and take a look at everything else. The speed will be normal because speed don't matter since we're all doing a regular draft. So it doesn't matter to me. And it's a free-for-all. So we're going to name this one the TBMS Full Mock Draft 1.0. We're going to enter the draft room. And in we are. So this is a look at what it looks like when we do this mock draft. I'm also going to try to see if I can condense the window a little bit so that it looks much cleaner, if you guys don't mind. So you guys let me know if it looks too sharp or anything looks off as we make this adjustment here. I'm going to do this so that we can shrink it down properly and everything can be established the right way. So we're going to try to make this as best as possible. So that this way you guys get your full draft fill and that we don't miss out on anything. I think what we're going to do is I'm actually going to maximize the window a bit. Make it larger so you guys see the screen better and understand the picks we're working with. So let me continue to maximize. We'll take over this full window here. We're going to leave it right there. I will be on this side here. You guys have full input to tell me what you like and don't like, what each team should do as I'm making these picks. This is the way we're going to fit it on the screen specifically for this. So, you guys see here what's going on. The Bears have the first pick. Washington has the second pick. New England has the third pick. All three are expected to go quarterback. And I can't help but agree. So, let's talk about maybe some pre-draft trades that maybe we can't do here. The only downside of this simulator is I can't do player involved in trades. So unfortunately, I can't do the Justin Fields trade through here, but we can account for it and make the adjustment later on. So let's see if we want to do that. You guys feel free to let me know in chat what we're going to do with Justin Fields in terms of a trade. Realistically, the most you might get, depending on the team's desperation, is a third-round pick for Justin Fields. To me, I think he's going to end up being traded for a fourth. Probably a fourth, maybe a fifth. We've heard multiple teams that are interested. To me, I think the Falcons are the team that are the most interested, that are probably going to pull the trigger on the trade, even though the odds are at plus 600 right now for that to happen. Because I know Atlanta, I know what they do. They want a fresh quarterback, a brand new quarterback who's going to change things around. And no better place to get a fresh start than Atlanta, where they actually have the weapons to succeed. And Pittsburgh, not so much. They really don't. I'm drinking a lot of water through this stream. So, here we are. Chicago Bears are the first pick. Let's get ready to start the draft. So, if you guys are tuning in for the first time, a quick update. Ooh, I did not change the date there. Give me 1 sec. Today is the 16th, so we're going to make that quick adjustment. Sorry, y'all. So, here we are. Chicago has the first pick. Let's start this draft up. If you guys are new to the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing to the YouTube and following the Twitch. If you're watching this on Twitch, consider following. We don't do subscriptions here because you guys shouldn't have to pay money for content like this. You really shouldn't. And as for YouTube, continue to follow that channel. Subscribe to that channel because most importantly with that channel, that's where we do most of our content. I've done a few interviews already posted on there. I plan on doing more series, contents, and other ideas I've been working on, including interviews with media professionals and others as well, like former coaches, alumni of the game, personalities from Twitter and other social media platforms, everything to kind of really diversify this channel more. And you're going to get educational videos as well. Stuff to teach you about how to play different positions, different mindsets of the game, how to attack different coverages, different things like that, like teachable things. And we're going to focus on that big time on this channel moving forward. But with that, we're starting with the first pick. So if you guys don't know, when I do this, I'm going to probably talk out loud, but really I'm going to be as serious as possible. So I've already kind of figured this out. It's a dead honest pick. I don't think there's any debate on this. Bears are taking Caleb Williams number 1. So that's off the board first. Caleb Williams going number 1. Now here's where I think it gets interesting. Las Vegas and Denver both need quarterbacks. Denver wants to move on, go get a brand new quarterback instead of having Russell Wilson. Is Sean Payton going to go for a veteran in this market, or are they going to go draft one? And if they draft one, do they need to move to pull that off? Well, here's the thing. How do you make this trade happen with Washington? Because New England is 100% taking a quarterback, and Washington might take one if it falls in their hands. So the only way you can convince Washington not to take quarterbacks is give them a big offer here. So if you're Las Vegas, you currently have the 13th pick. You have a second-round pick, a third, a fourth, a fifth, 1/6, and 3/7 this year. To make a trade like this happen, we're going to have to go to the trade section. Now, let's say Washington's willing to make the trade, right? These are their picks. You get a full view of all their picks they've got going into next year. Meanwhile, you go down and you take a look at Vegas, and this is what they're working with. They really don't have many picks stockpiled. Nothing in the early rounds. So to pull a trade like this off, they're also going to tell you here on this meter if it'll work or not. So let's say Vegas wants to trade up to get their quarterback, okay? Just the first and second this year is not going to be anywhere near enough to pull this off because of how big of a jump they have to make. So what about if you offer a first round next year? Well, that works. But if you're the Raiders, are you willing to take the risk to trade up and grab somebody like Jaden Daniels or Drake May because you know they're not going to fall to your hands? Well, if you're the Raiders, I think it works. You have to ask yourself if you're Denver, if you're willing to do it too. Because Denver could do the same thing. Offer a first, give them their first this year, give them their second next year. So this way they only lose a first-round pick in this draft, but Washington gets more capital for next year. And Washington can still get a good guy at 12. They're around the same spots. So Las Vegas could really make this work. They really could. But is there another team that really needs to jump up that needs a quarterback? Well, if you were Atlanta and you're desperate for a quarterback, well, giving up a first and second this year would probably not be enough. You'd probably have to give up a first next year too. Well, it says too much. Let's try that again, shall we? Well, Atlanta, if you have a first this year, a second this year, and a second next year, it's not enough. Now, what about your second, third round pick? Well, that somehow works. Your first, second, one of your thirds this year, and a second next year. Does that make sense at all for Atlanta? No, it's too much capital you're giving up. A team like Vegas can afford to give up that kind of capital. So in this sense, if I'm in the situation, I'm trading the first this year, my first next year, and my second round next year to make this work. I'm going to invest in my team now and have a little bit left over to make this kind of trade work. Now, if anybody disagrees with this idea or what trade we're going with, feel free to veto. You guys have about 30 seconds to do it before I pull the trigger. I'm giving you that time now to kind of veto this if you're not a fan. And if this trade goes through, Vegas will be picking Jaden Daniels. That's who they will be picking. Because there is no shot I'm giving them Drake May, who doesn't have the mobility or the poise necessary to survive behind an offensive line that can be considered underwhelming. And needs a retool as well. So, in my mind, Vegas has to do this. Washington can get a quarterback too, but Sam Howell isn't bad. As well as you build the team around him, I think they could survive. But again, they could have somebody fall right to their hands as long as nobody else picks quarterback. That's the thing. Well, since we didn't get a veto and it has been about 30 seconds, we're going to go through with the trade. So with this pick, the Las Vegas Raiders are moving up to pick number 2. Now let me account for this real quick. I have a document just in case, as our fail-safe, in case of the event that this thing lags out. So let me just write in and type in our picks. So with our first mock draft here, we had Caleb Williams going number 1 to USC. From USC to Chicago. In this pick, Las Vegas has traded up with Washington to get this pick. So Washington gives up this pick, and Vegas will be selecting Jaden Daniels. You need a guy who can move around with the offensive line that they have. So Jaden Daniels goes to the Las Vegas Raiders, the Heisman winner from LSU. We're also going to count for the trade. So one more reminder of the trade. Vegas trades their first round pick this year, which was the 113, 2025 round 1, and a 2025 round 2 to Washington for the pick 1-2. So the second overall pick this year. That's what Vegas did. New England is now up. Now, if you're New England, I've heard conversations that Drake May not be the pick. It might be somebody else. They're not interested in Drake May. However, I'm telling you this as somebody who knows how these things work. You cannot have a successful team in this kind of market. With the market and limitations that you see right now in football at the quarterback spot, something's gotta happen. What's up, Keanu? I see you in the chat. NFL draft, yes. If you are Vegas, you did the right thing. You had to trade up to cut off New England from getting the guy that you wanted. They would have did it, and so would have Denver. But Vegas has the more attractive opportunity than Denver does. Because Vegas is more desperate. Denver, if they don't get what they like, they can just run it back with Russell Wilson. They haven't fully moved on yet. That's the big thing. They haven't fully moved on. They still have the opportunity to reconcile with Russell and make him start next year. Which, again, he wasn't horrific this year, but he wasn't stellar. I think Peyton's kind of sailed on, but it can always be rekindled if they can't find any other options. So let's mark it down as well on these sheets, the AFC and NFC needs. So Vegas gets their quarterback, and Chicago got their quarterback. So Chicago got theirs. Now, when I keep track as well, I put dots on these so we know that they were picked. Now, for this one, you guys see the team needs here of what New England needs. Quarterback, receiver, tackle, edge. For me, the most important needs here that I've done, and these charts are all compiled based off free agency, talent, and availability, based off the cap, based off what players are under and not under contract, the positional needs, performances, and such, so on and so much more. For New England, my top 3 are quarterback, receiver, and tackle. So I fully agree with Mock Draft Database on this. It's quarterback, receiver, tackle. Now, you have to decide. You need a franchise quarterback. Mac Jones is not the answer. They will move on from him. Will it be a trade? Will it be a release? Who knows? But I think the best thing to do here is go with the best talent available. And in this case, that would be Drake May. They need a quarterback. So New England's going to take Drake May with the 3rd pick. They need to establish something to get a new starter there, to start really building something for Gerard Mayo. He needs a franchise guy. May has all the talent in the world. Do I think he's going to pan out? That remains to be seen. But I think Drake May to New England's the only one that makes sense to me. So we're going with Drake May to New England at that pick, 3rd overall. So he is gone. Okay. The next pick belongs to Arizona. Arizona's up now. We're going back to the NFC with this pick. And I can't help but think about, with Arizona, one thing. As you guys may or may not know, we did report on our channel, not while we were at the Senior Bowl, along with myself. It was me, along with the guys at Big Blue in the Bronx and the Boys in the Big Out podcast when we were down in Alabama. We did get a report from an anonymous source, which we will continue to keep anonymous, that the Arizona Cardinals are going to treat this year with Kyler Murray as a make-or-break year. If Kyler Murray does not pan out and make it work this year and put it together and get the Cardinals back to where they need to be, the Cardinals will move on after this season. He needs to have a resurgent year in order for him to keep his spot. This is not some kind of BS I'm trying to feed you. This is the truth. This is things we had heard from an anonymous source, which we will keep anonymous because we're protecting their identity and their job. We heard that at the Senior Bowl. So, Arizona is going to have to give Kyler everything he needs to succeed, to truly know what they're working with, and if he still is their future. Well, I'll give you the short answer. The answer is yes. They're going to need to build up receiving core. And in order to do that, you got to go with the best receiver in this draft and a potential future Hall of Famer here in Marvin Harrison Jr. That is the pick at number 4. Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals. There's no other way to put it. It has to be Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm accounting for it now and typing it into the computer. Into the backup copy. So, Marvin Harrison Jr., receiver from Ohio State, will be an Arizona Cardinal after this draft. That's where I'm at. They need to build up weapons. Now the Chargers are up. The hat I'm wearing, right? At number 5. Well, let's talk about this a little bit more in detail. With the Chargers, if you look at their free agent list, which I could pull that up, but I don't know if it's really going to fit on the screen properly, so I'll just read you guys what I have here. Spot Rack. Make sure to use them as well. Shout out to Spot Rack. They have all the contract updates and transactions as they break. Thank goodness for them. They help a lot with this. So let's go look at what the Chargers free agency looks like. What are they losing? Well, if you take a look at what they're losing here at all positions, the most important position they're losing here is not only running backs, they're losing Eckler and Josh Kelly. It's also the receiving group and the tight end group. Receiver, they're losing Jalen Guyton as their most established receiver. So they're going to need a receiver 3. But there's plenty of receivers this draft. You can figure that out. I mean, plenty of receivers in free agency and in the draft that it shouldn't be a major, major concern this early. But they have no tight ends on roster. Gerald Everett and Nick Vannett are both going to be free agents, and they're not worth the contract they're going to be demanding. Everett made $6 million last year to not even be one of the best in the league. You want a guy who's going to be a market-established guy, someone who's going to make an immediate impact and can get up there and do everything they need to help Justin Herbert. And in that case, they got to fill the tight end spot. So to me, there's no doubt what the pick needs to be. Brock Bowers at number 5 is going to the Chargers. There is no doubt in my mind that that has to be the pick. I don't like putting it that way, but it is the truth. The Chargers need an answer here. And again, everything I'm saying is not a disrespect to any of the players that I'm calling out here or mentioning. It's just a simple fact of what teams need and what their situation is and how much of an impact that player is going to have if they're worth the money they're looking for. Because this is how teams talk too. If they're going to get this money, can they give me a better impact than what they had during their time here? And they have to be realistic about it because age plays a factor. Did they hit their peak yet? Did they plateau? There's a lot of factors that go into it. And going with Bowers is a more sound investment than going with guys who are older and didn't necessarily have the production that helped the team the most, that put the team in the best winning situation. That's the way it works. And now the Giants are up. Giants are up in number 6. Now this has been highly debated because some Giants fans think it's realistic that they could somehow get Jaden Daniels. Well, you guys can see Jaden Daniels is off the board, so that is no longer a realistic possibility. So now what do you do for the Giants? Well, they need a quarterback, they need a receiver, and they need a tackle. You guys know the history of the Giants with offensive tackles in the first round. It's not very good. So I don't believe that they should go first round a top 10 all lineman again. Is there any can't miss guys? Sure, there's 3 of them. But what's more important? When this is Daniel Jones, when this is the potential last year for Daniel Jones in a Giants uniform. You got to give him everything he needs to win. And again, the mindset should always be win, win, win. We got to help our guy win. That's what it is. So in this case, for the Giants, you have to go receiver. And there is only one receiver on this board here. There's been a debate whether it should be Odunze or if it should be Neighbors to go at number 6 to the Giants. Well, let me make it easy for you. It's Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors at number 6. His production this year at LSU was incredible. He's not system-based. His production was organic and natural, and that's what you like to see. You see a lot of guys put up big numbers in college, but they benefit from the coach and the quarterback that they were working with. Well, not the case with Malik Neighbors. I think he had some really good showings of athletic talent and prowess to really stand on his own 2 feet and be a wide receiver 1 for a team for the long term. So this is the right pick. This is the right move. You have to do this. This proceeds us now into the next pick, the Tennessee Titans. Well, in the Titans' case, they need a lot of things. A lot of help. The only position they don't need is quarterback. Everything else they could totally use. So, in this case, the top 4, tackle, receiver, tight end, corner. For Will Levis to succeed, you got to protect him. And that man had no protection on the outside this year. Nothing. And he's losing guys in free agency. So you got to establish your line a little better to give your guy more time to breathe in the pocket. This means you have to go tackle. And the best tackle on the board is the consensus number 1 in this draft, which is Joe Alt from Notre Dame. So at number 7, the Titans are picking Joe Alt in this draft. Now again, I have to make sure I exclaim this. This is a mock draft. It does not mean this is happening. This is what I would do in their situations. So Tennessee gets a tackle. It is Joe Alt. To me, that is a no-brainer. So Joe Alt is off the board at number 7. Now we're pick number 8 with Atlanta. So speaking of Atlanta, let's talk about this a little more. Where in the world do you guys believe that Justin Fields could get traded? Because once we figure that out, we can establish what pick will be traded and where he'll go, so we know where we can account for it later on in this mock. So make sure you guys type that in for me and tell me where you think he's going to go. Now, there may be a point as well, so you guys are aware tonight on this stream, that I may have to end it at some point, probably around the 3rd round, just because there's probably going to be a really long time before we finish all of this. So I'm giving you guys that disclaimer. So whatever happens after the 3rd round, it won't be done on stream. It'll be off stream, and then I'll post the results from that. You guys have full input on that. But I need to know beforehand where you guys think Justin Fields gets traded so I can make that trade happen. Will it be Pittsburgh? Will it be Atlanta? Will it be somewhere else? That is the last thing I need to know. The most important thing. But let's look at Atlanta real quick. Does Atlanta go quarterback here? And this is why I brought them up, because they do need a quarterback badly. And I need to exemplify badly. Because they are in a unique situation where they need practically a lot. I mean, look, the Giants got their receiver, right? They really just need a quarterback and tackle at this point as the most important needs. Chicago got their quarterback. Atlanta is one of the few teams that needs a quarterback on top of Washington, and they really need to stack up here. If you really trust that you're going to make a trade to make this happen, you don't draft a quarterback. But if you really, really need a quarterback, and you don't want to lose any trade assets, you're going to have to draft one. So, logically, in my case, I had Atlanta making a trade to get Justin Fields. Because that's what should be done. But there's no guarantee in that. So I'm going to go with them picking a quarterback here. Now, again, I don't support the idea of picking a quarterback in the top 10 here. Anybody else? I don't think they're worth the top 10 investment. However, there are a handful of guys that Atlanta needs that are going to build up this offense well. And they'd have to trust the fact that any of these 3 will be available once they get down there. And if you're not worried about somebody else taking them, I would do the next best thing, which is go finish up and set off the edge. Because they have no pass rush, and they've got to build up the pass rush. So, this is so tough. I'm debating between going Dallas Turner and Bo Nix, because I really don't believe in J.J. McCarthy. Picks made. Dallas Turner. Number 8 to Atlanta. I did not want to make that draft pick, but kind of had to force myself to. Because I can't justify putting Bo Nix in the top 10 when I definitely don't think he's worth a top 10 pick. No offense to him. I really don't think he's worth the investment. He's a good guy, though. Good guy. Great guy. Met him at the Senior Bowl. Good guy. A little prideful, but he's a good guy. And I just have to say, I mean, for Atlanta, it's better to go finish off the edge and build your pass rush before you get your quarterback. You have another round here with some guys that are likely going to be your starter next year. As long as you strike early, you're fine. I wouldn't have struck that quarterback at that point. But the edge, absolutely. So they get their guy. They get their edge, which is the most important thing that they needed there. Now we go over to Chicago. Chicago's back on the clock at number 9. They could go receiver, or they could go edge. That's their choices. Well, there's some really good players here. They could also use an offensive tackle, in my professional opinion, but there is no guarantee on that. Let's hit the all button, right? Well, this is what you're working with. You can go Odunze, or you can go with Olufashanu. I'm not going to say his full name because I know I'm going to butcher it. Olufashanu. Well, what does Chicago need the most? Do they need to protect their new quarterback? Absolutely. Do they need to get him another talent? Absolutely. Can't just be DJ Moore out there. But this is a deep receiving group. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. I watched a lot of these guys play down there. Odunze, Brian Thomas Jr., Keon Coleman, Troy Franklin, Adonai Mitchell, Lad McConkey, Xavier Worthy, Leggett, Polk, Walker, Wilson, Corley, Pearsall, Wilson, McMillan, Rice, Burton, Thrash, Cowing, Washington, Smith, Baker. I think the cutoff for guys that'll be viable starters in this league stops right here. It stops at Rosemy Jack Saint. After Jack Saint, I think a lot of these guys are fringe. They're not really guaranteed to start or be a wide receiver 3 at minimum or on special teams. So if you're going to go receiver, I would go somewhat early. And the Bears' next pick isn't until the 75th, which would be in the 3rd round. So with that, I think the Bears' safest bet is to grab a receiver here just to cover everything up. And I know it goes against what I said yesterday in my original mock draft, but I feel like that just makes the most sense. They gotta get a receiver. They can't just have DJ Moore going out there constantly to win. You know, that's the thing. I think there's got to be more to this. So for me, I don't have a choice here. I got to go with Rome Odunze, which opens the door now for the Jets too. But we're going to mark that pick down. So with the 9th pick, the Bears went with Rome Odunze from Washington, the wide receiver. It was something they definitely needed. There's definitely some protection down the line they can invest in. But for the Jets, that now puts them in an interesting predicament. Being at the Senior Bowl, I cannot begin to describe how much the Jets love Talis Fuaga, the offensive tackle from Oregon State. But Fashanu is, to me, a couple steps ahead of him overall as a talent. So to me, Fashanu should be the clear pick. Because there's no debate the Jets got to go tackle. You can't go receiver. I don't think tight end. You definitely shouldn't go QB here. For the Jets, the best pick is a tackle. And you have to go with the best available. They love Fuaga, but it's smarter to go Fashanu. So with the 10th pick, the Jets are getting Fashanu in this draft. It solves the aid regardless. So let's mark it down. Chicago got their wide receiver, so now they need edge next. And for the Jets, they got their tackle. And the Jets are in a unique situation. They don't have a lot of draft capital in this. It's all in the late rounds, not really in the early part. So they're in a bit of a pickle. But the Vikings are up. And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the Vikings. They really need to amp it up. Like, they need to figure things out with their quarterback situation. Again, I'm operating under the guys here that that I don't know what these teams are going to do for agency. They're not going to fill any of their needs in free agency. Once free agency clears up and the combine passes, there's going to be a whole new mock draft for me, because then you'll have a better understanding of what teams are desperate for and are in serious need of. Once you hit that point, then you kind of know where teams are going in their direction. Guessing it now, very difficult. So for the Vikings, they're one of those teams that's really hard to gauge. If they don't get Kirk back, they need a quarterback desperately. And having the 42nd pick, not a place you want to be. Not the place you want to be. But nevertheless, the Vikings are going to be in need of something. So I'm going to go off of the idea of what is their biggest need and what's a bigger need. Do they need the pass rush? Do they need the quarterback? Well, yes, they don't have Cousins, but they're also losing their 2 edge rushers. All their big name edge rushers they had this year are all free agents. You can't re-sign all of them. So I think the most important thing is to make sure they're covered in that territory, because quarterbacks, they can be fixed. You can definitely figure things out. You could trade them. You can go free agency. You have to account for the fact, again, yes, I know, they won't be able to get one. But this is a deep enough class that I can be okay with it. Because the cutoff to get a really good quarterback is at 91, which is Spencer Rattler. So you can get Bo Nix here early, but it's going to be a bit of a reach. It's going to be a bit of a reach to get him now. So I think the edge thing is where you have to go. So Jared Verse is my pick for the Vikings at 11. That's my logic in this. So the New York Jets got Olu Fashanu at tackle from Penn State. And at number 11, Minnesota went and got Jared Verse, the edge rusher from Florida State. One of the top guys in this draft by far. No way he was going to slip by him. Again, for a lot of these teams, it's gauging what is more important to you, getting a quarterback or getting actual things you need. You know, like, is quarterback an important position? Yes, but it's a position you can survive with a good game manager. That's what the Niners have proven. You can survive with it. You can find success with a game manager. But for the Vikings, this is just, it's too logical. Because I'm preparing, again, under the mindset of they're not going to solve this issue right away in free agency. They're going to get this taken on early in the draft, but not now. Some of these quarterbacks are going to go early. They're going to go really early. So don't be shocked. You can see all the top guys gone by the end of the second round. So here we go. The Broncos are now at pick number 12. QB is definitely the biggest need. They do also need edge. Edge is a huge deal for them. Huge. They don't have a lot. They don't get a lot of pressure as it is. So getting an edge rusher would be big for them. A lot of teams are in need for that in this draft. So getting them ahead of time is way better than waiting on it. And that's something I've been telling a lot of teams. You've got to really, really focus on this. You can't let something like this slip by you. So for Denver, your need specifically is edge, QB, corner. Those are the top 3. Edge, QB, corner in that order. Yes, I just rhymed. I just realized that. I kind of rhymed. But it doesn't matter. You got to really look at this and like, what is that? Like, look at the positions as well. Quarterback. It seems early to draft any of these guys. If you can't go receiver here. If you look at the edge spot, Leadu Ladu is the best pick here by far. By far. If you go corner, you can get a great guy in Terry and Arnold. Arnold is an extremely talented corner. You fix up the game because Pat Surtain is a free agent. You have to be careful. That's the top corner in the NFL. He's going to get big money. And if the Broncos don't want to pay that, they got to get a top corner. And that would be Terry and Arnold to replace that. So replace the Alabama guy with another Alabama guy. 2 really good Alabama guys succeeding each other. I just hit the mic. 2 really good Alabama guys succeeding each other. So this is just where I think this is the best option. You have to think logically here. Fix the defense. To me, I'm operating under, you got to go off what the most important need is. Like, what are you going to run out of first? The Broncos' next pick isn't until the 76th, which is the 3rd round. So they're going to miss the entire 2nd round, and you have to account for what players can be left. So if you just go down here, they're going to be around DJ James, Mike Sanristel, Josh Newton, Max Melton. Like, that's what you're going to be working with, and maybe Chris Abrams-Drain. And that's not bad, but it's definitely not at the point where you can replace the impact of a guy like Pat Surtain. You look at the edge spot, drop down as well. Well, they definitely got a few of them that go, but most of these guys are going to be gone in the 2nd round. So when you get to 76, Dorless might be gone to the Giants at that point, and you got Marshawn Nealand. And Nealand is good, don't get me wrong, but is that going to solve your need right away? And then what are you going to do? You're going to wait for Mohamed Kamara, or maybe Austin Booker if he falls? Nelson Caesar? Like, what are you going to do? It just doesn't make sense. Or even wait longer and get Javon Solomon. It doesn't make sense. And then look at the QB spot, and these guys are going to hang around. They're going to hang around. But once you pass Rattler, you're not going to get anybody else here. They can wait to snatch Rattler at 76. But to me, you have to look at what's going to be less available as you go on. What's going to be the big liability? And to me, the liability will be, once you hit like a 122 spot, if you're waiting on it, you got Jalen Simpson. Simpson was great when I saw him at the Senior Bowl. He was great. That'd be a great pick for them. You still got other guys here. Look, you got Chow Smith-Wade, Johnny Dixon, Kyrie Jackson may fall. Who knows? Nehemiah Pritchett could be a really good steal. I mean, there's just a lot of decent guys here. You look at the edge spot, you see a similar situation. If you fall down to it's like less of a, I mean, you still have some decent corners later on. You have an edge guy. You have edges that are going to be a little bit thin there. I think if you're smart, you go with Latu. So the Broncos go Latu at 12. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people won't agree with that, but I think that's just the only logical way I could deduce that, was to just go with Latu. You have to go off what's going to be available later on, barring a possible trade. And again, you guys as the viewer have control of this draft. I want to stress that. So at any point, you could veto an idea I have, and I'll have to pick something else. You guys also can go ahead and propose a trade idea of who would be interested in a guy like that, and we could go through it. So let's go through and let's mark this down. So at pick number 12, Denver selected Laiatu Latu. So Latu is picked here as the edge guy. Why did I mark it like that? For edge at UCLA. So back-to-back edge rusher picks. You can't let the edges slide through your fingers. It's just the smartest thing to do. So the Denver gets Latu, who, again, was very impressive as well at the Senior Bowl. He gave a lot of guys a hard time. He was just that good. But now Washington's up. And Washington is in need of quarterback, tackle, edge, tight end. If they were smart, they could take quarterback now. But here's the problem with Washington's situation. They got two second-round picks really close to each other. To me, you could wait. At that point, you could wait. So QB can wait a bit. If you look around here at tackle, and then you look at the edge, right? You got to look at what's going to be available at 36 and 40. At 36 and 40, you're probably going to have Braylon Trice and Darius Robinson hanging around. Maybe more than likely Chris Braswell. Those are all really good options. You go to tackle. Once you get past Fuaga and Latham, look, Mims is good, Fatanu's good, Guyton's good, Morgan's good. I wasn't impressed with Sua Matea, and that's a guy who's on the low end here. Once you pass that, you're down to the next best tackle after these two will be Kieran Amagaji, which is from Yale, the offensive tackle, FCS school, which means risky. So to me, you got to go tackle here. You can't bypass this. So Washington's going to get Fuaga for protection's sake. So in this situation, if think about it like the fallout effect. If Chicago doesn't pick Fashanu, the Jets get Fuaga, and then this changes up the draft. But in this case, Chicago goes receiver, Jets get Fashanu, and that allows Fuaga to fall right into the hands of Washington. So good for them. Washington gets what they need. So we're going to write down Washington from Las Vegas, because that's where they got it from. They fall to Vegas' pick. And they get Talise Fuaga, who will absolutely thrive in Washington. So there we go. Now we're at number 14, which would be New Orleans, right? New Orleans is the pick. Let's mark it down for Fashanu out for Washington. Big need. Big need they just filled. But now New Orleans is up. They need edge as well. They're looking for edge. Looking for offensive tackle. There's a lot they're looking for. They're going to need a lot. So let's talk about this a little further. What does New Orleans need? What's the most important need for New Orleans? I want to see if you guys can kind of deduce this one. I'm going to let you guys think. I'm going to set it to all, and you guys tell me what you think would be the perfect pick here. Now, again, I'm a Bucs fan, but I'm unbiased in this. I know exactly what... I feel like I know what they need the most, because Derek Carr dealt with it a lot, and they got guys who are getting older. So they really need to make sound decisions here. So let's take a look at this, right? You got three really good corners up here that anybody could take at any point. Remember, when guys start falling down the board, you have to start weighing what's more important, your team's need or the talent of the player. Like, even if that's not the biggest need, the talent of the player will make you so much better. So that's what teams think about a lot as well. So you have to think about, can you make an excuse for them to go grab a corner here even though it's not their most important need? Or is their need more important? So you guys see this. Let's start with their first one, edge. The next top guy is, it says Damian Robinson, but the actual name for him, the nickname is Chop Robinson. That's his nickname. Really good edge rusher from Penn State. It's really high to pick him here. Really high, and they get at 45. Around 45, you can probably get Braswell or reach and go get Adisa Isaac, who I think would be a really good pick for them. Adisa Isaac is super talented. Take a look at the tackle spot. Latham, you fall down to 45. You maybe get Pat Pohl. He could be gone at that point. You don't know. And then you're stuck with Amagaji, which, again, I'm not saying the guy's bad. I'm just saying it's not the talent and ceiling that Paul has, or a guy like Morgan. Like, that's the thing. And then you go to receiving group, and there's really not a guy you could say and argue, I got to immediately take him. Even though the Saints do need receivers, they can wait until that point, and they can go grab a guy like Xavier Worthy or Xavier Legette. They'll be down there. So, to me, New Orleans pick, it's kind of obvious because of the conditions. At 14, the Saints are going to pick J.C. Latham for me. Take and capitalize on it now. Get your tackle, bro. Get your tackle. Establish your line. That's what you need to do. J.C. Latham, offensive tackle, Alabama. I said that weird. Alabama. Number 15 belongs to Indy. They get the next pick. What does Indy want? Well, we're about to find out. New Orleans gets their tackle. Now we go to Indy. With Indy, you have to think wisely here. What is something they like? Well, corners, their number one need, so this should be a no-brainer. The next pick is at 46, so I don't think you can weigh anything else. The talent that you have at this position, can't pass up on any of it. You can either go Arnold, Wiggins, Mitchell, Dijon, or Kool-Aid McKinstry. I really like McKinstry. I really like Quinyon Mitchell. I watched him in person. He's a star in the making. But you got to go with the number one overall talent in this draft at the corner spot, and that's Terry Arnold. So he's going to end up a Colt in this situation. Colts get a corner, a position they really need because a lot of their top guys are free agents. So they're going to need a corner badly. So they're going to grab the guy from Alabama. So the tackle and corner from Alabama are going back-to-back here at 14 and 15. And at 16, Seattle will be getting their opportunity to make their pick. Now, this is an interesting situation because now you got receivers sliding, things moving around a bit. The last mock I did, I said that Cincinnati would come in and emerge as a star in this case. Like, they're really going to be looking for a guy. And they don't want somebody like Jacksonville stealing a star receiver that they may want. Well, at this point, there's no star receiver to take for them. So they lost out on Odunze because the last one I did, Odunze fell down to 16. Cincinnati traded with Seattle and took him before Jacksonville could. In this case, Seattle doesn't really need a receiver as their primary need. It's more like a tertiary. But for Seattle, like this is a big deal for them. They really need something that their biggest concern is they got to establish their line better. Their edge, their defensive line, their front seven has to get better. And in order to do that, you have to decide what's more important, your edge or your defensive line. To me, there's one guy who's the consensus number one defensive lineman prospect in this draft, and that's Jerzan Newton from Illinois. He will be a phenomenal pick here. But if you go to the edge spot, there's really, again, another reach for Chop Robinson. You can get Newton here. It's not likely somebody else is going to get him unless you fall to a certain point. And then you just take Newton here and call it a day. So Seattle capitalizing on their need in that specific spot. They'll pick again at 78 in the third round. I think in the third round, you don't really need to wait for McKinley Jackson or Mason Smith. Both are good guys, but when you got a talent like Jerzan Newton sitting right there, you must capitalize on it. You don't want to sit around. I'd rather they sit around and wait and go try and get one of these two and reach on Nealon because I think Nealon's a great talent regardless. And they got two picks here to still use. So they can go ahead and grab interior O-line at that point. Somebody like Christian Haynes could be available, or Cedric Van Pran, or Dominic Puny, or even in the tackle spot down here. They can go ahead and be able to take Kieran Amagaji. I mean, it's up to them. There's a lot of options they have here, but overall, I don't see a reason why you don't go with Jersey and Newton here. So they're going to take him at number 16. So Jersey and Newton, defensive lineman from Illinois, is now a Seattle Seahawk. That's what we just projected, y'all. That's what we just did. Remember, at any point you may veto any of my decisions. You have full control. Any trade ideas, I am all ears to everything. Remember, this is only we're only finishing up to the third round because once we hit that point, I got to call it a night here on Twitch and then we're going to move on. I'll take care of rounds 4 to 7 from there, or we could pause and wait until the next day. It's up to you guys. We'll do something early in the morning, really early if we have to get this done. But we're going to pick number 17 now. It's Jacksonville on the clock. Jacksonville has a chance to capitalize now. They need to establish something. Well, corner and receiver are their top needs. You guys could argue the receiver thing. But like I said, receivers are deep in this class. Deep. And at 48, you can get a guy like Worthy or Leggett, who will be established wide receiver 1 guys you could put on your roster, and they could thrive with a little bit of work. Trust me, it is the best decision. So corner, based on talent alone, should be the pick here. You have to decide what's more important, Wiggins or Mitchell. Wiggins or Mitchell. To me, it's Wiggins. So Wiggins goes to Jacksonville. Easy pick for me. Easy pick. So that's what happens. Off he goes. Seattle got their D lineman. Let me mark that on the sheet here so I know what I'm working. And Jacksonville gets their corner. I know receiver I said was more important, but with the talent still available at the corner spot, no doubt you don't go corner there. Cincinnati's up. And they don't have a pick until 49. So we're going to see what's more important to them. Will they go tackle, feel their need now, and wait on a receiver till later on? I think that's a smart decision too. Pull a Jacksonville. Do what Jacksonville did. There's also no tight end you could pick here really early in the first round that's worth it because Brock Bowers is off the board. D-line, you can make a case, but I don't think it's their biggest need. I think D-line is more of a thing that it's kind of like the third most important position, and it's going to be a little bit deeper. I mean, it's not going to be as deep, but it'll be deep enough that you could survive until like this part because Braden Fisk is still a star pick where he's projected at being number 84 overall. So let's stick with the most important position. I think tackle is what you have to grab here to just continue protecting Burrow. That's what he needs. So Marius Mims, you are a Cincinnati Bengal at number 18. Burrow's protection is very important. You cannot miss out on that. It's the biggest thing. So let me make sure I also got this updated on the sheet here. Jacksonville went with Nate Wiggins at corner, which is Clemson. You guys hearing the tapping, that is me tapping my keyboard to kind of type all these things in. There you go. 17, Jacksonville picked Wiggins. And at number 18, Cincinnati chose Marius Mims, offensive tackle from Georgia. Great talent, great talent. This is just the right pick at that point because you need to really establish your line better to protect Burrow. That's what it's more about. Get what's most important to the team at that point that you can afford to draft later on. That's the big thing for me. 19 is the Rams. Rams have a lot of picks here. They're the one that threw off this whole draft, by the way. They threw the wrench in everything. Everything. So, the Rams looking for corner as well. They're looking for tackle. They're looking for edge. They have pick number 52. It makes no sense why they don't go corner. You have to go corner. And you got to go with the best guy on the board, which is left remaining. And I agree with this one. Quinyon Mitchell. No chance you don't go Quinyon Mitchell here. Again, best talent in the draft among corners by far that I saw at that Senior Bowl. He was incredible. And there it is. He is now a Ram in this mock draft. So far, as a reminder of everything we've done so far, after we make this pick, I'll do a recap of the top 20 picks we've made so you guys know where we currently stand. But for right now, the Rams grab their corner, which is a big need for them. Number 20, it's Pittsburgh. Oh, Lord, it's Pittsburgh. They also need a corner. A guy that fits the system. A guy who fits what they need. Truly, truly need. And who could that be? Well, let's think about this a little bit. Do you go with Kool-Aid McKinstry to go DeJean? I think McKinstry's the better corner. And I think that's really it. But I have to also go off realistically, what does Pittsburgh value in a corner? And they value exactly what McKinstry is. So McKinstry, congratulations, you're a Pittsburgh Steeler. Welcome to the Steel City. Pittsburgh goes and gets their corner with Kool-Aid McKinstry. The pick now goes to Miami at 21, which is crazy because in my other mock, Amarius Mims fell right to their hands and they took it with open arms. In this case, now they have to make a more wise decision. Like, what's more important to them? They really don't need a corner because they're kind of set at the moment. They may not be next year, but they're currently set at the moment. They won't be set probably next year when the draft comes around again in 2025, but at least for now, they're okay. They're okay to be a secondary concern. And in my case, borderline secondary to tertiary. So Miami's biggest needs to me I have written down are tackle, interior, and edge. So tackle spot, you got Fatanu and you got Guyton. You go past them, and you're looking at probably around 55. These guys will be gone. You're probably down to Kieran Amagaji, my bad. And then you don't pick again until 157. So 102 picks later, you get another pick. And you'll be down to guys like Julian Pearl, and Rosengarten will be off the board. So you really are not going to be in an ideal situation to pick any offensive tackles. So realistically, you got to be smart about when you take a tackle because the talent pool is limited this year. It's very limited, so you have to be smart. So interior O-line, you look here, Jackson Powers-Johnson to me is a great pick for Miami here if they can afford it. At around the 55 spot, you can go Frazier or Beebe, so it's more affordable. Go down to 157. Coleman and Layden Robinson are both pretty decent. So is Sadalamea. I think both guys are just really... That's an affordable position. You go to edge, Chop Robinson. It's a bit of a reach here, but it's not a bad pick. And if you skip him to go to 55, I mean, none of these guys are really going to be available. And if you go down to like the D-line spot, you're talking Byron Murphy possibly, who'd be a really good take. And once you take him, they got nobody to take here. They got nobody. Once you get to 55, you have definitely a few options, but like there's no guarantee once you get down to here you're going to get an incredible pick. Like this is a perfect pick if he's actually still there at 157. But again, it's very risky whatever you pick. But I think because of the talent limitations at tackle, there's no reason why you don't go Troy Fatanu. So for me, Miami goes Fatanu at 21. So Miami gets Troy Fatanu, offensive tackle from Washington. And once I finish up the first round, I'm going to take a quick break just to go get another bottle of water so I can keep talking. And then we will continue with the rounds 2 and 3. All right, pick number 22, and it's now Philly who is on the board to pick. And if you're Philly, these are your needs. Again, what this says does not line up always with what I have as a need. Right now, I have it at corner, safety, and tackle. Corner, safety, and tackle is my current picks at the moment. Now, if you're sticking with tackle, Tyler Guyton's a great pick. But they do need a corner because they're getting weaker with Darius Slay and Bradbury there. And they don't really have a good young group there to substitute and fill in their shoes once they retire or inevitably leave. And to me, this is why you have to go with Cooper DeJean from Iowa. This is the pick. So, at 22, Philly's going corner. You have to think about the age. You have to think about production. You have to think about free agents. There's just a lot you got to really take into account. And, it's very easy for fans to go into a pipe dream and be like, oh, they're going to get this amazing quarterback. Oh, they're going to trade up and get this guy at this pick. When, in actuality, forget there are 31 other teams that are going to want things too. And one of them is actually going to get it. And the other 31 are going to be sitting there like, man, I wish we could have got him. So you have to be realistic with the things in your situation. For Philly's situation, getting Cooper DeJean no matter what happens, they're guaranteed to get one of these top corners. Again, 5 really good corners are going to be picked in the first round. Whether it's DeJean, whether it's McKinstry, whether it's Mitchell, whether it's Wiggins, whether it's Arnold, one of those 5 is going to fall into Philly's hands. I just feel like that's going to happen. If it doesn't, best of luck to them. I don't know what they're going to do. So Philly gets their guy. And now we move on to the next pick, which belongs to Houston at 23. I believe this was formerly Cleveland's pick. I believe that's the case. Let me just confirm that. yes, this was the pick that the Houston got from the Cleveland Browns in that Deshaun Watson trade, which really panned out for them, didn't it? Houston is going to get the chance to pick an important spot that they need. They need receivers. They need edge. They need D-line. Now, remember what I said about being deep in this draft. There's a lot of options. And there's certain positions that are deeper than others. Well, for the receiver group, if you want to establish wide receiver one, the earlier you get them, the better. There's going to be a little bit of time for you to get a D lineman later on, so it shouldn't be the most extreme concern at the moment, despite the talent that is available. So, what does that mean? Well, in the receiving group, if you don't get Brian Thomas Jr. or Keon Coleman here, you got to wait till 59. And at that point, you're looking at probably a guy like Roman Wilson, who really doesn't project to be a starting wide receiver one, will probably be a 2. And that will mean he'll still play in the X role, but he won't be the number 1 priority target. He'll probably be the number 2, the secondary option. So, again, he still plays on the outside, could play inside towards the line, doesn't matter. But for Roman Wilson, he won't be the number 1 target on your team. He'll probably be the number 2 in the receiving core. And that starts really around here between Walker and Wilson. Once you hit Wilson, that's around where you're at that point. So that's the big thing. So the better you get at receiver now, the better. I mean, the earlier you get a receiver, the better here. And for D-line, I mean, you could wait till 59 and try to get Leonard Taylor and Michael Hall Jr. I watched both them play. Very good talents. Easy picks to me. And if you look at the edge spot, similar situation. Once you get down to 59, even 86, you got a lot of decent picks still here and available on the board. So I don't see a bad situation for Houston here in any situation. So receiver, capitalize on it now, make it for the better. Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver LSU, to Houston at 23. They need the elite receiver. They got it. They drafted. They are also losing a decent amount of guys in their receiving group, including Noah Brown. So getting this done now is better for them. So wide receiver, LSU. We're going to 24. 24 is Dallas. And for Dallas, yes, I said it like that, Dallas, they're going to have to make a pick. And with this pick for Dallas, they're going to need tackle, corner, or receiver. Like I said, the most typical things you could predict. Tackle, corner, receiver. Well, I think I've kind of obvious in the pick I'm going with here. Let's see if you guys can pick up on where I'm going. I'll give you guys a chance to figure out where I'm going with this. I'll even scroll a little bit so you guys can kind of see the players I'm looking at. So you guys can kind of pinpoint where I'm going to go. Well, any ideas? Okay. For those that don't know, I'm going to go with Tyler Guyton. And the reason why I'm going Guyton is because once you hit 56, once again, you have that giant gap between Paul and Amagaji that will determine who could be a starting tackle and who's going to be the backup tackle, or the rotational guy at minimum. I mean, at most, the rotational guy. You also got the corner spot, which, yes, there are good corners, but none that are considered have to get in the first round. That have to get. Nobody there. And then when you go to the interior spot, I mean, most of them are pretty good, and they'll linger until this point. So you could still grab somebody like Cooper Beebe or Cedric Van Pran or Christian Haynes or even Dominic Puny or Christian Mahogany or Zach Zinter. There are plenty of guys here that you could take. So for them, it's smart to just go ahead and grab Tyler Guyton, who fits what they need because Tyron Smith is a free agent. So Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle Oklahoma, goes to Dallas at 24. I feel like that is the correct pick here. It is the only pick. You got to build up that line again with the pieces you're missing. A lot of being a general manager is plugging and replacing. That's a lot of what it is. Plug and fix, plug and fix, plug and fix. Think about it like a ship. You can run a ship and make it sail smoothly, but once it reaches the wharf, I should say, you have to do work on the ship and see where the holes are so you can plug it up and get it ready for its next sail, for its next voyage. If you don't fix the right spots, or you do like a half-assed job with it, you don't do a really good job, what ends up happening is when you're sailing on the water, the hole opens up, starts filling up the ship with water. Now you're trying to scoop out all the water with the bucket. It makes it really hard to sail on your voyage. Maybe you make it back to your spot. Maybe the ship breaks and sinks. And once that happens, that usually means somebody's getting fired. So think of it like that. That's a lot of what drafting and signing and management is. It's plugging the holes to keep your ship afloat. Fixing the little things with every voyage. Every season counts as a voyage. If they struggle, you're going to see the points. And you're going to see it physically because a ship doesn't make it back. A ship sinks. A ship comes back very damaged or limping or whatever, lagging behind. Or maybe it comes in sailing strong and finishes strong and is in perfect condition, near perfect condition. Maybe a couple battle wounds, but nothing serious. That's what I'm talking about. That's really what being a manager is. You have to view it like you're sailing a ship and you have to maintain the ship to keep it in tip-top shape after every single season. And that's what happens. It's what happens. So that's basically what the position's like. I know it's a weird comparison, but that's how I view it. So let's take Dallas and mark them down. They get their tackle. Biggest need they needed is off the board. Now you've got the Packers. Packers got a lot of draft capital in this one. Very happy about that. I'm sure if you're a Packers fan like Tom Grassi, shout out the Grassi posse. The Packers have a lot of good draft capital, and we know where they're going to go with this. They got to build up the secondary by any means necessary. Well, you could go early and reach and try to get Ennis Rakestraw Jr. to be your corner from Missouri. Or you can go safety here, go get Cameron Kinchins, but I think he'll wait until the second round, and they have an early second round pick, so they can definitely make a move of some kind. They can go at Kinchins, they can go at Newbin, they can go at Bullard. There's a lot of guys who will be left around there. And even at 58, they can still get a guy like Kalen Bullock. There's options. Look at the tackle spot. Jordan Morgan will likely be off the board at this point. They could take Kingsley Su'a-Matea or Patrick Paul at that spot over here and screw everybody else who's right after them. And at 58, I mean, look, you got a lot of options here. You could also go running back, take Blake Corn, but I think that'll be waiting until this option or down here. If they wait till here, they maybe can get somebody like Jonathan Brooks or Braylon Allen or Marquise Irving, also known as Bucky Irving for the Oregon fans. There's just a lot of options. So to me, I feel like the best thing you can do here if you were the Green Bay Packers, can you go tackle? Sure. You want to go corner? Sure. You want to go safety? Sure. Weigh what's the best available talent at the position. And for right now, I think going with the corner spot could be great for them, could be bad for them. I mean, the earlier the better, like it is with everything. So to me, solve your secondary first, deal with the tackle spot when you get there. There will still be good safeties available around this spot to handle it. I mean, it's such a loaded situation. But I think there's a better option, and it's going to be a bit of a reach, but I think it's the best option they have. They're going to take Jordan Morgan at 25. I think you have to weigh the realistic outcome that you're going to have a tackle lingering there. And since it's such a small, slim market, it's just better to get your tackle now. So this way you're not scrambling later to plug a hole that won't properly help the situation. So getting a guy like Jordan Morgan here helps a lot. And yes, I do know that I'm doing a lot of doubling up on positions, but there's for a reason. Because other teams will be like, oh wait, we're going to run out on an opportunity, might as well capitalize on it now. And now comes my team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this will be the fun part, because I thought and contemplated hard on what Tampa Bay should do. And I've gone every single direction you possibly can with this. Can you go receiver? Can you go edge? Can you go corner? What is the most important position here? They have 7 picks. They don't pick till 57, so second round late. And you have to weigh your options. So let's look at the edge spot. If they take they don't take Chop Robinson here. They're going to have to wait to probably reach and get Adisa Isaac or Jonah Ellis at the end of the second, if they're still on the board. At the receiver spot, you take Keon Coleman here. Sorry, if you don't take Keon Coleman, you're going to be waiting a while, but there'll still be somebody you could take around the 57 spot, like Roman Wilson or Malachi Corley if you're willing to reach. And if you go corner here, well, there's not bad corners, but it's not your biggest, most extreme need at the point. At 57, they could go TJ Tampa, Kalen Carson if they want to reach for it. If King's still falling, you could take Kalen King. There's a lot of, there's possibilities. But if you're going off the biggest single need, that they are in desire of because they have been struggling with this every year, it has to be the edge spot. Again, I love to death Keon Coleman. He is the number one receiver on the board at this point. Probably the number one talent on the board at this point. But when you miss out on the big name edges like Chop Robinson, you're putting yourself in a bad situation. You really are. And they really need to establish that defense as much as they can. You could always solve the receiving group in free agency. So to me, Tampa Bay needs to go with Chop Robinson at 26. Now, again, a contradiction to what I put in my mock draft for Tampa Bay. But understand, situations change, needs change, and most importantly, free agency in the offseason creates a lot of changes. So, Grant, and again, this all really traces back to Vegas making this trade with Washington. Because once they trade with Daniels, Washington goes down and says, oh, we don't need a quarterback. Let's just take one of these tackles. By taking Fuaga, they throw everything off. They don't make that trade. They're taking Drake May instead. And it throws off the rest of the draft. The rest of the draft goes as a lot of experts would predict it. But because this happens, it throws everything out of whack. So Arizona now is at number 27, right? They're at number 27. Tampa Bay made their pick. They got Chop Robinson. So they solved their edge concern. And plus, with the struggles of Tryon Shoyinka and Shaq Barrett not producing at the level he was before, this is the smart move. You have to do this. And now we continue on. Pick number 27 is Arizona. Zona already picked earlier. They got a receiver. They need edge and corner now. And you could start looking at their secondary options, which include tackle, D-line, and interior O-line. So they have a lot of picks as well. I think in total they have 13 picks, which is it the most in this draft? I think it is the most. Let me check the number. Yes, it is. It is the most picks in the draft, followed by a tie between Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers with 11. So the Cardinals can have a lot of picks here. They can do whatever they want practically. But you want to get the best talent early. That's really what Arizona needs to do. They got their receiver, but do you go edge here? Do you go corner? Think about what you're going to have more available later on. They pick again at 35, so they get another early pick. They can afford to take a corner right there. For a tackle, though, they're going to have to wait till 66. And like that is something. You have to weigh what's more important. You're getting a tackle, an edge, or a corner. You have to pick two of those that are more important. To me, the edge spot will be available later on. You can wait on that. Corner and tackle, you're going to have to make a pick. So to me, I would go corner. So to me, they should go Ennis Rakestraw Jr. Corner from Missouri. That is my pick. Oh, I just closed the window. My bad, everybody. It's still live, though. We're still good. We are still good. We're still good. So Ennis Rakestraw Jr. Go cornerback, Missouri. Now, once we finish the first round, we're going to take a break to grab another bottle of water, and then we're going to move on. Buffalo is up next. You only got a few picks left. 5 more to go here in the first round. Now, 5 more to go here in the first round. You're asking yourself with Buffalo, what's most important needs? And since we took care of the corner situation with Rakestraw, let's go look at Buffalo. Receiver, corner, D-line. Wow, they still need corners, don't they? Well, receiver is the most important thing by far. You need to keep Diggs happy, and more importantly, you got to keep your guy Josh Allen happy. Best talent on the board comes right off right there. Enough said. Keon Coleman, receiver from Florida State, is going to have to enjoy the cold weather of Buffalo. Hopefully he can get used to it. So Coleman, Florida State to Buffalo. Next pick belongs to Detroit. They're 29. For Buffalo, for Detroit, their needs is at the corner spot mostly because they're going to have a lot of free agents. But they also need edge, D-line, interior. In my book, read my book, corner, edge, D-line is the most important thing to me. Corner, edge, and D-line. So pretty much same established things here. In the D-line spot, you got a really good talent in Byron Murphy. And once you hit the 61 spot, you're at more lesser talent. Maybe Byron Murphy is the pick here. If you look at the edge spot, you could take Braylon Trice, but at 61, you still got some options. And you take the same look with corner, and there are going to be some guys around 61 and 73 you could take that are really good. So I think Detroit can wait. They can wait on corner. They can wait on edge. So, got to go with the best available talent. That is Byron Murphy, the D lineman from Texas. Comes off the board there. Help build up that pressure to go work alongside Mr. Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive line, that front seven. All on board with that. And Baltimore will have pick number 30 here. For Baltimore, you have to ask yourself a very important question. Coming off a big run that you made it to the AFC Championship for the first time in a long time. So you have to ask yourself, I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What is the draft pick you can make that'll push you to the Super Bowl level to compete and win next year? To do the whole thing, win the whole thing, keep Lamar Jackson playing at his best. What will you do? Well, it's rather simple. You have to go with either another receiver to replace Odell Beckham Jr. and Nelson Aguilar, which would be Troy Franklin, which I picked in the previous mock. You can go with the corner here. Wait till 62 to go grab another one. I mean, you can wait. Can you wait till 62 to grab a corner? You might have to settle for Kalen Carson. Can you go offensive tackle for protection? Well, at 62, really not an option, so you have to wait till 93. You can get Blake Fisher. Not a bad guy. Same with Christian Jones, but you really don't want to do a lot of waiting. So it's really a reach to pick Kingsley Sua-Matea. So really, the tackle's out of the question here. And then you got the edge spot, which it's not their biggest need. To my opinion, it's not as big as receiver and corner. That position can wait. That can wait. So if you guys aren't getting where I'm going with this, you have to go receiver or corner. And what's going to be more available wherever you're at? Well, it's definitely going to be receiver. So with that, I don't think there's any other choice here but to go. I hate doing this. I really do. But it's going to be Kamari Lassiter. Kamari Lassiter goes to the Ravens from Georgia. He makes it into the first round based off need alone. Based off need, the corner goes to Baltimore. Originally an early second pick, he's going to go late in the first now because of the need by Baltimore. He is going to be good, though. Mark my words, he will be good. We're at pick number 31 now. It is San Francisco on the board. And for San Francisco, what are their biggest needs? Came short in the Super Bowl. Could come from defensive play, but it looks like they're going to be focusing more on the offensive line because they are going to lose some guys. Well, what could you do here? Well, need tackle, corner, interior, O-line. You have to ask yourself what's important. Remember what I did with these other teams. Think about the most important needs at your spot. 63 will be the next time they're on the board. The tackle spot, well, there's really nobody to pick. You have to wait longer. They could probably steal a corner with one of their tackle with one of their third round picks. What about their corners? Well, can't really take corner now. You got to wait. But there's going to be a couple guys who maybe take in the 90s. A couple guys. And if you go look at interior O-line, plenty of really good talent. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Jackson Powers Johnson to the Niners. And I know there are Giants fans out there that are like, oh my gosh, why would you steal him from us? Well, why? Because Niners need him. They need interior help. Duke can play guard. Duke can play center if you wanted him to. And that is exactly what San Fran's bringing him in for. So Jackson Powers Johnson goes to the Niners. And we've reached our last pick of the first round finally after all this time. And about probably an hour into this, we're talking now, Kansas City finally gets their pick. What do you guys know is the most important thing for Kansas City? It's going to be receiver. Because receiving group is important because they have a couple guys that are in contract talks. So, got to try to talk to Ayuk to get him back. Got a couple others to talk to get back. Debo's injuries are starting to catch up to him. You really need to be smart with what you pick. And for Kansas City, receiver, my fault. We're talking San Francisco. My bad. With Kansas City, there we go. There's the correction. With Kansas City, they didn't have a really good receiving group this year. It was very underwhelming. Mahomes didn't play his best, but they still somehow won the Super Bowl because of the great defensive work and Mahomes just being his usual self in the playoffs. He's the same thing as Brady. You can work with anybody you put around him. You can pick a ninth grade receiver off the team and put him on your team, and he'll still find a way to win a Super Bowl. It's what he is. So what does Kansas City do? Well, you got to go get receivers here to help them. And clearly the best receiver you can get in this point, who's probably the best talent on the board at this point based on their need, it's not Devondre Sweat. It's not Kingsley Sumatea. And it's not Kalen King. No, it is Troy Franklin from Oregon who's going to close out the first round. He's going to go to Kansas City and give them the receiving help they truly need to line up on the outside and make a hero for this team. He's going to get them straightened out, and that's going to conclude the first round. With that pick, let me just mark it down to make sure we covered that. So once again, Troy Franklin will be the last pick of the first round to the Kansas City Chiefs in this mock draft. And notice how there really wasn't a bad pick at this point for any of these teams. So far, these grades are all very positive for every single team. Notice, only one trade had to be made. Only one. Vegas trading up to 2, Washington trading down to 13, and everything worked out for everybody. They get positional helps and needs filled urgently, very quickly. So full credits to that. That's all figured out. So let's read through the first round one more time, and I'll explain to you guys what the order is. I will show you in the Google Doc that I have here. Just have to switch up the window a bit so you guys can kind of see it. Let's switch the window, shall we? Well, this is it. Well, didn't show all the way. That's not going to help. All right, well, we're going to switch back then. Switch back to here. Okay. Well, that's something. Well, like I was telling you guys, there was going to be a couple issues here and there with me trying to work through this stuff because it's not easy. But I'll just read you the order then. So this is what we had so far in the first round. In the first round for this, what I would do, mock draft. Again, you guys have veto rights here. Caleb Williams, number 1 to Chicago, expected. Vegas trades up to number 2 to get Jaden Daniels. Washington trades down to 13 to do that. And they also get a first-round pick next year and a second-round pick next year from Vegas. So Vegas spending a lot to get their number 1 guy for the future for Antonio Pierce to work with. Number 3, New England gets Drake May. Arizona, number 4, gets Marvin Harrison Jr. Number 5, Chargers get Brock Bowers. Big need at tight end. They fill that need. Number 6, the Giants go Malik Neighbors, receiver from LSU. It just makes too much sense to go there. Number 7, Tennessee. You got to protect Will Levis. You get Joe Alt, tackle from Notre Dame. Number 8, Atlanta. Had to argue, can you take Bo Nix in the top 10? Or Penix? The answer is no to me. The quarterbacks all fell, by the way. Not a single other quarterback got picked in the first round outside of the top 3. Nobody else. So they're all going to fall and likely get picked in round 2. Atlanta goes Dallas Turner, edge from Alabama. They need the pass rush. They need the sacks. They need to get the pressure. And that's the way to do it. Number 9, Chicago. This was a heavy debate between getting a tackle or receiver. They end up getting a receiver, Rome Odunze. You don't want to let that fall out of your hands, a talent like him. And so they capitalize. They take him. Now, Caleb Williams will have another receiving threat. They have DJ Moore. Now they're going to have Odunze too. The Jets at number 10, with the tackles falling, they take Olu Fashanu because he fell right to their hands. Take him Ofuwaga. 11, Minnesota, quarterback or edge? They go edge. Jared Verse from Florida State. Denver at 12 takes Leadu Ladu, edge from UCLA. Washington, who now has that pick at 13 from Vegas, picks Talis Fuaga, offensive tackle from Oregon State. This way, they can now start to really rebuild their offensive line to protect Sam Howell, whatever the quarterback they may or may not pick. 14, New Orleans takes J.C. Latham, offensive tackle, Alabama. Indianapolis at 15 takes Terry Arnold, corner from Alabama, because they have no corners. They're going to have no elite corners on their roster entering this offseason, so they better to draft one. 16, Seattle takes Jerson Newton, defensive line from Illinois. Best D lineman in the draft. Have to take him. Can't miss. They need to really ramp up that defensive work. Jacksonville at 17, Nate Wiggins, corner from Clemson. Built up a secondary. Secondary was a really big issue this year for Jacksonville. We get the solution here. Cincinnati at 18 gets Amarius Mims, tackle from Georgia. I know they want a receiver, but it's too early to reach on a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. or Keon Coleman. So rather than trade, it was just better for Cincinnati to just grab a tackle to protect Burrow. 19, the Rams get a corner, Quinyon Mitchell. They don't really have a corner that stands out for their group, so getting somebody like this solves the problem. Same thing for Pittsburgh at 20. To go alongside Joey Porter Jr., they get themselves Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama. You go to 21, Miami gets Troy Fautanu, offensive tackle from Washington. I feel like that just solves a big need for Tua to stay alive in the pocket. Philly at 22, Cooper DeJean, corner from Iowa. Like I said earlier, Slay and Bradbury getting older, more ineffective. You need to get younger and get really good elite talent there. DeJean has that potential. 23, Houston, Brian Thomas Jr. Get C.J. Stroud an elite receiver 1. You draft it, you solve it. Done. Dallas, Tyler Guyton, tackle from Oklahoma. Tyron Smith's a free agent. To cover that free agency loss, you have to get some protection for Dak to replace him. Guyton's a great pick. 25, Green Bay reaches a little bit, but they get an offensive tackle to protect Jordan Love in Jordan Morgan. That'll be the replacement probably for Bakhtiari, offensive tackle from Arizona. Tampa Bay at 26. Heavy debate between receiver or edge. I felt edge was more important because they didn't really get a lot of sacks at the edge spot this year, and they've just been getting a bunch of pressures, but nothing really to affect gameplay. So get a guy who's going to complete the sacks and be violent to the ball and get what you need out of that in Chop Robinson from Penn State. 27, Arizona goes corner, gets Ennis Rakestraw Jr. from Missouri. They need something in the secondary. They have a lot of picks. Attack the most dire needs first at the most talented spots. That's the way to go. Rakestraw Jr. 28's Buffalo. Keon Coleman is the pick. They need somebody to go with Stephon Diggs and also to give Allen more work. So they go with Keon Coleman from Florida State. 29, Detroit goes D-line, goes with Byron Murphy. Wasn't the most important need for them at the point, but they needed something to really help ramp up the pressure and the run-stopping ability, and going with Byron Murphy solves all of that. Number 30, Baltimore goes with a corner, goes with Kamari Lassiter. It is a deep receiving class, so that's why I'm letting these kind of picks happen more. So they get Lassiter from Georgia to help out to work alongside Marlowe. They're going to do pretty well. 31, San Fran goes Jackson Powers Johnson. Probably one of, if not the best interior O-lineman in the draft. Could play guard, could play center, wherever you need him. San Francisco needs that flexibility to keep Purdy upright and to help open up more holes for McCaffrey to survive in the run game. And with the final pick in the round, at 32, KC picks Troy Franklin to finally get Mahomes a receiver that can be a potential number 1. It's just the best thing to do. So that's the recap of the full first round. We're going to take a quick break and be right back once I grab another bottle of water. It's only going to take a couple minutes, so be right back. What's up, everybody? We're back. Told you we're going to do a short break. Had to go get myself another bottle of water, but we're going to continue on here. So we're now going into the second round. This is going to be a much faster round. Not much explanation I'm going to be doing. Not a lot of time we're going to take up here. We're just going to make it as quick as possible. So you guys can see more of my mental process. If you guys don't agree with the pick I'm making, feel free to let me know, and, we're going to go with it. So Carolina's on the board for the first time here at pick number 33. So let's see what they can do. Make sure I'm setting it up properly. Remember, we're doing 101 picks, and then we're going to come off stream and we're going to do the rest. So let's do it that way. All right, so first pick, second round, Carolina. Let's see what their biggest needs are. Well, probably everything, but regardless. Receiver, edge, tight end. We only have 6 picks because of that trade they made last year. But what can Carolina do? Nope. Seems kind of obvious to me because they need receiving help big time. So Adonai Mitchell to them. Adonai Mitchell goes to Carolina to solve the problem. Too easy for me. I think that's an easy pick. If you guys disagree, feel free to let me know. So Carolina gets their guy, Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver, Texas. I might have to chase a cat out of a room, so give me 1 sec. Gotcha. I grabbed you. There you go. See? Ow. No. I'm back, y'all. Sorry. I have a cat, and we only had the cat for a few months, and he runs everywhere. He's like a sprinter. If you guys have a Siamese cat, you guys know how it goes. They are super fast. And he broke into my room because he could open doors, and he was just running around the room, so I just had to grab him out. But let's continue the draft. Number 34, New England. For New England, you got to think about their needs as well here. Now that we took care of Carolina. For the AFC, New England is looking for a receiver. In this case, though, for them, they could use receiver or tackle. We could take McConkey here if you want. I mean, it fits like the brand for them to go with somebody like McConkey. He's a multi-role guy. Could be used in many different capacities. So you have to decide what's more important for them. Receiver, tackle, or even a secondary need like edge or tight end or corner, something like that. To me, they probably need more of a receiver, but there is a decent amount of free agency. Edge, not so much. So to really debate what's more important to them, I think going Braylon Trice makes sense. But I also got to weigh, they got pick 68 as well. That's the early of the third. And at that point, they can make a couple other picks, but it's if they're available. And same goes for receiver, except there are some options out that far, like Malachi Corley. So to me, screw it, McConkey's pick. McConkey's picked at number 34 to New England. So Ladd McConkey, wide receiver, Georgia. We're going number 35 now. You know what I'm going to do? Let's put on some music as well while we do this. I think it's more fun that way. I'm going to try and put on some non-copyright music. If you guys hear ads, I apologize. And keep in mind, I have Spotify free, so I don't pay for it, but pretty good. Let me lower the volume on it so it doesn't have as much noise in the background.
This is the rhythm of the night.
Nope, that is copyright. Give me something non-copyright, please. You guys mind EDM or rock? I think we're going to go with rock music. I really like my rock music. Let's start with here. I think that's pretty good, personally. How's that? Is it better? I hope it's better. I think it's pretty good, but we're going to stick with this. So we'll talk about it here. Oh, that's pretty loud. To me, that's better. I think we're good. Let's leave it like this and we'll talk. So, Arizona needs either a needs edge or tackle. Like we were talking about earlier, they're going to need some things. And to me, there's a lot of options for them. I mean, they can do a lot of things, but again, my focus is making sure that we fit all the positional needs more important than anything else. And we have to start weighing when talent's more important than actual needs. That's why McCarthy's staying so long, because I think he's talented, but he's not a serious need or first pick to anybody who needs a quarterback. That's why they're all available at this point. But don't worry, they're going to start coming off the board by right about now, so just be ready for it. Arizona at 35 could use an edge, which is actually perfect fit. Never mind. No need to argue that. They pick again at 66, but they have an edge. Like, you might as well get the best talent. At 66, you're probably going to end up getting a guy like either tackle, interior, or D-line. And they'll all be available at 66. So, like, they got full control at the moment. So, Braylon Trice is the easy pick here for me. You guys feel free to let me know if I'm making the right picks or not. I think I'm doing a pretty good job at the moment. Washington's up. Keeping an eye on when I could skip the ads. All right, Washington's up. Like we said earlier, their big need is quarterback. And I think we all know where I'm going with this. They now can finally go attack a quarterback because they lasted so long. And this is where all the fun is, because a lot of people don't know where to go at quarterback. And I've kind of got this figured out. Pretty sure I got this figured out at this point. Who are some good quarterbacks you guys can name that are still on the board? Any good ones y'all can name right now? Haven't been picked yet? Let's see. Well, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, Michael Penix. Who fits the need and the mold of a Washington Commander quarterback? And fits in a Dan Quinn offense? Who would that be? Anybody want to guess? I can tell you. The answer is Bo Nix. Bo Nix to Oregon, from Oregon, at number 36, is the perfect fit for Washington. Continuing Washington here. So, QB, Bo Nix off the board. So, there we go. If you guys can still hear the music, give me a thumbs up or some kind of reaction or comment in the chat. The Chargers are up next. Chargers are looking for a corner, receiver, or tackle. Like we said earlier, we're looking for things that fit their need more importantly, but they have to have a lot of talent too. Talent plays a role in this. They can wait on receiver till pick 69 as well. Tackle, Sue Mateus starts popping up now. Corner, can't really go corner here. I think if you're smart, you can go ahead and take care of one specific spot that is popping up now, so you don't have to deal with it later. It's going to be Sue Mateus. Again, I don't believe in Sue Mateus, personally. Again, this is not a knock on the guy. I just don't think he's going to pan out in the NFL. Which seems like a direct attack on the guy, but I mean it very lightheartedly. Like, not as in, like, in very negative ways in he's a bad person or that I don't like him. It's very simple. I know when guys are going to pan out and when they're not. You can look at a guy, watch the way they play, watch the way they move, and you just know. That's how it is with me when I was watching Sue Mateus at the Senior Bowl. I just knew. Against Power 5 talent, he had a lot of struggles. So, I'm not on the Matea train. I'm sure some people are. I'm not. But I wish him the best, though. I always wish people success. I want the best for him. But I really don't think it's going to work out. But I pray he beats the odds. Okay, waiting to skip the next song. Pick 38 belongs to Tennessee. They're going to need a receiver, tight end, or corner, despite what the mock draft database says. They do need edge, but not as that big of a concern to me. So if they go edge, they can. There's a lot of talent here to capitalize now. Receiving group, going to have to wait a bit. Well, can they actually? Receiver, 107 is their next pick. And that'll be in the 4th round. They don't have a 3rd round pick. Get a guy like Jamari Thrash, and that's pretty much the cutoff. Once you pass Jamari Thrash, that's it. I think that's where the cutoff is for like really good elite talent number ones. It's Jamari Thrash. If it's not Thrash, if you go corner, you could probably get Kyrie Jackson, Cart, or Simpson. So that's actually not bad. They could wait on a corner. Edge, though? Nah, they really can't wait on edge. Yeah, that's the pick. So I guess the simulator really does know what it's doing. I guess they know. So we're going to make that pick then. So we'll capitalize on that right now. Darius Robinson, you are a Tennessee Titan. That's the pick. It's the most obvious pick you can make here. So Robinson from Missouri goes to Tennessee. Again, doesn't hit their most important need, to my opinion, but it's their top secondary fringe primary position that they needed help in. But the Giants are now up, and they're going to need some help. I know that for a fact. No matter where you go, they need help. So let's take a look at what they need more importantly. The Giants have a decent amount of picks in this draft as well. They're at 7 picks. So they're about the average amount. A lot of them are early, which is the good thing. So they got 2 second-round picks and a 3rd. Then they got 1 4th. It looks to be maybe a 5th and a 6th. That's it. They end at the 6th round. What I like here for 39, they got a lot of needs. You can go tackle, QB, or corner. Let's take a look at what they need. Tackle, Patrick Paul. A little bit of reach here. You want to go Paul. But I think it fits what they need. Corner, you go Kalen King. Quarterback, you can go... Well, that's receiver. Quarterback, you can go McCarthy or Penix. And knowing that they have QB questions, you can make the guy compete for the job. And then you got interior O-line. They could use a guy like Graham Barton. The Giants really could use a lot. And, I mean, in the end, you want to go with the best talent because you can't let a guy fall so far. Because then somebody else is going to take him. If the Giants don't take Penix, Penix will probably go to the Vikings. Or Atlanta, whichever spot it is. So you have to really think that the Giants going to pass up on Penix and just not worry about quarterback as much because they have Daniel Jones. Again, next year is a very good QB class. But can you realistically pass on Penix if he comes up? That's the question. I really don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm going to stop the music. It sounds like it's just going and going and going. Let me get lo-fi. Lo-fi will sound real nice in the background. As long as it's non-copyright, we are chum. Let's start right here. Well, we'll start back here, actually. So with the Giants, I'm at a loss. I was having this debate the other day with some Giants fans, and they gave me some ideas, but I'm around like the I'm around like the idea of going for Penix, but not necessarily letting Penix be my most obvious choice. Like I'm on the fringe of that. Like I don't want it to be so easy. Like this isn't an easy pick to me. So look, you got QBs. You can go Penix. If you pass on Penix at 47, you're probably going to get one of these two still available. Tackle, you get Patrick Paul. He won't be there once you get to 47, and you're struggling to find a tackle. If you go to corner, I mean, you probably can get somebody at this point. You can probably get the same thing with interior O-line at that point. Same thing with an edge. I mean, there's just so many routes to go. I don't see why you don't go tackle here. I think that's the pick. I'm sorry. No Penix. Go Patrick Paul. Going to be a lot of disagreement on that one. I'm sure my Giants friends are like, why would you do that? But Patrick Paul's off the board. He was still on the board. Last time I did the mock, Paul was off the board. At this point, he's on the board. So I don't think it's a bad idea at all to get the Giants another tackle. It wasn't a first-round tackle. This guy could squeeze in and make some big moves for them. So Giants get Pat Paul. I feel like it's just the move. It does open the door for somebody else to get a quarterback, though, as we go to Washington again at pick 40. Need an edge or tight end. Edge or tight end, what do you do if you're Washington? Braswell or Jatavion Sanders. They pick again at 67. Sanders will be out the board, but guys like Stover, Johnson, Bell, Sinnott, they'll be all really good guys that could probably get picked. That'll probably do some good work in the NFL. So, I mean, it's really hard to just pick one outright. I think I'm on the board of they can wait on a tight end. I hate doing that. I think the edge is more important than anything else. Give him Chris Braswell. That's just the pick to me. That's just the right pick. It's all about it's about balancing need and talent, and that's what you're getting here. Regardless, so Braswell to the Washington Commanders. So I'm all in on it. #41 is Green Bay. Reminder, Green Bay does not need a quarterback in the slightest. So it's really for them. Well, they already did pick. I didn't mark them down. Wow. My fault, people. They got their tackle. Now I need a corner or safety. Is it early to pick a corner? Sure. They get picked again at 58, and they're in the thick of all the corners that can be picked. They need a safety, though. Big time. Big time. And lucky for them, Cameron Kinchens stuck around. And that's the obvious pick to me. Cameron Kinchens goes to the Green Bay Packers at pick number 41. It's too easy to me. I feel like that was too easy of a pick. Minnesota's now up, and you got guys just lingering here that could be picked and that they would really like. We talked about it earlier. They need a QB. They need a corner. They'll pick again at 109. QBs are few and far between once you pass the main guys. And at this point, once you hit 109, there's a couple guys you could definitely go after and draft that I could see as very good options for them. So for me, it's too easy. Give him Michael Penix Jr. Penix will be a Minnesota Viking, and he's got the deep arm. I watched the guy throw. He did miss some throws, but here's the thing that I liked about it. They weren't they weren't throws that were coming up short. They were throws that were going far. They were going to be overthrows, if anything, and I was okay with that because that's what I'm looking for. Tells me the dude's got an arm, so I'm okay with whatever decision's made there. Guy's got an arm. Let it be. That's my pick. So, in the end, Atlanta is now drawing the short end of the stick to get J.J. McCarthy, who people think will still pan out, but is it what Atlanta really wants? That'll be the question. I mean, Minnesota gets their quarterback. Atlanta's got to decide what's more important. I'm going to keep you a receiver. Like, come on. They got a couple picks they can pick in the third round. They're going to have some receivers lingering around there. I mean, there's a lot of options for them. What could it be? So Penix Jr. goes to Minnesota in this case. Because the Raiders got the trade up, so big benefit for them. Now it's Atlanta. Atlanta's thinking QB. If you go receiver, Worthy's a great pick. But they could also wait till 74 and grab somebody here, or 79. Honestly, you want to stay around 74 and try to get him, but you may not have that privilege. So maybe the receiver is where you want to go, but you got to be willing to move on from quarterbacks because we're going to get McCarthy unless you go and get Rattler at 79, who I think really will pan out and end up starting at some point. He'll make it as a start at some point. And outside of that, you got corner, and there's just not a worthy corner. So you have to decide what's more important, getting your receiver or getting your quarterback. Because what's the point of having good receivers if you don't have a quarterback that can throw to them? J.J. McCarthy. That's the pick. There it is. Remember what I said. I am not high on J.J. McCarthy because they really didn't let him throw the ball at Michigan, which doesn't spell well for me. And I don't know why that was the case, but I can't wait to hear their stories of why. Vegas is up. And there it is. We got our ad, guys. Sorry, y'all. We're here with the ads. I'm going to try to re-pull up Spotify again while this is still going on. Vegas needs a corner or tackle. D-line would be Tavondre Sweat. I mean, this is like the best talent you can get at that spot at that point. So I'm kind of in on this. So, okay. Once again, Atlanta got their quarterback. So good for them. And we said Vegas. So Vegas needs, what was it again? Corner and tackle are their primary needs, but neither one's really good at this point. Like in this case, by good, I mean like worth the investment here. And this is all coming from like, how do I explain this? Like, I just really, oh, there's no desktop audio. Wow. It's not connected. Okay, so you guys aren't getting music then. Okay. There we go. We're going to leave it right there. So you guys can still be able to hear me while this is still pumping out. I think Tavondre Sweat might be the best pick here for Vegas because just like the position you're in, you're going to be picked 77. There's going to be receivers around. There's going to be receivers around. There's going to be probably a tackle there. You're better off just going here and getting the best D lineman. So Tavondre Sweat, keep building up your defense to keep your guy happy. That's usually the pick. So Tavondre Sweat ends up going to Texas at 44. 45 belongs to New Orleans. And what is their biggest need? I mean, right now they're looking for an edge. Edge would be nice, honestly, for New Orleans. While I'm getting my phone blown up at the moment. Yeah, I'm saying here it's, sorry, got weird text. 1 second. I'll be right back in a second. Cool. Sorry about that, y'all. So, New Orleans. According to my sheet, they really do need one specific thing. They need edge and receiver. Those are the main two. So, it does line up here. At the edge spot, they're going to have to wait. If they need receiver, they don't have to wait. They can just grab Xavier Worthy here. That's what they're going to do. Xavier Worthy, welcome to the New Orleans Saints. Too easy. This is the Texas wide receiver. He'll probably end up starting alongside Chris Olave, which would be actually a really good connection. I'm a fan of that. So, Worthy goes to New Orleans. Indy's up now. Indianapolis gets the pick. Their biggest needs here are receiver and edge as well, so they could take Xavier Legette and get ahead of all this. And again, the reason why they need receivers is because they are losing a wide receiver 3, and Pittman is a free agent. I do expect them to sign back with Indianapolis, but there's no guarantee. Again, we're operating under the guys like they're not going to get these guys back. So they really do need a receiver bad, and I don't think this is something you really want to wait on. So, if it were me, I would start considering moving on. It's like getting a receiver, clearly. So, in the edge spot, again, you're like lingering. There's really nothing. So, Leggett has to be the pick. So, Xavier Leggett goes to Indianapolis to potentially work alongside Michael Pittman Jr. That's how you run a team, guys. Now the Giants are up. Now, last time they had pick 47, I had them trade it with the Browns so that the Browns can move up and get a guy that they wanted, but it may not be the same now because of how much the order has changed. So we're going to take a look at the Giants' needs and figure out what they need instead. Well, clearly quarterback's still at the top. But all the quarterbacks that we just talked about, which we knew was going to happen, quarterbacks are off the board. So now you're asking yourself, as the Giants, quarterback? If you can't quarterback, do you go corner, edge, interior? Let's take a look. Edge, Adisa Isaac, you can take right here. You go interior, you can take Graham Barton. Graham Barton be a steal at this point. You go corner, you can take Kalen King. What is important here? If you don't go with Barton, you still got a chance at guys like Cooper Beebe, or go with Cedric Van Pran. You probably got a chance at Cedric Van Pran after that. But are the Giants willing to wait that long? It's a question. Or do you capitalize now on a guy that's supposed to go in the first round? I think if you're any smart person, you capitalize on the guy that was going to go in the first round because you're going to have some other corners that will be really decent later. So capitalize on the fact that you need something now. So capitalize on the talent that's lingering and just take it. So the Giants get Graham Barton. This is what I'm talking about. You have to weigh your challenges at certain points to figure out what's worth the investment, even though it's not your biggest need. So for them, because of who was lingering, Barton goes to them from Duke. Now we continue on to the next team at number 48. That is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars already got their corner. So for Jacksonville, they need anything else but corner. They need a receiver or an edge as their main priority. Receiver or edge. So they can go Jalen Polk. They can go with Adisa Isaac. I think they're going to end up going with Jalen Polk. They need a receiver more than anything else. Polk would be a great pick for them. I think he'll work out just fine. I believe he was projected to the Jaguars in my last draft too. I can't necessarily remember. Jalen Polk. New Jaguar. Jaguars get a receiver. Problem solved. Now, Cincinnati's also looking for a receiver, but that's because of the issues with T. Higgins. If they don't bring him back, they need a guy to go with Jamar Chase. And I think a guy like Devontae Walker would actually do really well there. There was questions about some things he did at the Senior Bowl, but he was really good overall, so I can't talk on those claims that I've been hearing about his hands and route running, but I can tell you what I know from the tape. A lot of potential with him. He's a burner. He'll make guys miss. So, to me, that's enough to really put him over, but here's the thing. You have to look at the other positions. D-line and tight end. So you have to decide what's more important, getting yourself a tight end who may be a little thinner once you get closer down. Like you might have to get Jaheim Bell at 116. You may end up having to get Jared Wiley at 148. You have to figure out where's your cutoff. Go to D-line. You can take Chris Jenkins. If you don't take him now, you can still get a decent guy like Braden Fisk, or maybe you wait till 116 and grab a guy like Dwayne Carter if he falls, or Keith Randolph at like 148, or Justin Eboigbe. There's guys. But what about the receiving group? Receiving group, if you let this fall out of your hands, you've got to deal with Pearsall, and Pearsall is more like a wide receiver 2 or 3. Works better in the slot. So, to me, I think you got to go receiver. So, Devontae Walker goes to Cincinnati at that pick. I think you have to go receiver. There's not a choice at that point. Wide receiver, UNC. And now we're at number 50. Why to do that? wide receiver 50. It's going to be Philly at pick number 50. What are they going to need? Well, safety's definitely up there. And that makes this way too easy, actually. Way too easy. So Cincinnati gets their receiver they're looking for. Philly really does need a safety and also a tackle, but there's no tackles to take, so you got to get your biggest need. And you could take safety here. 53, they're going to be up again. I mean, not much turnaround. You're going to have that time frame to lose a safety. So to me, this is perfectly fine to take a safety here, get the best guy on the board. That's going to be Tyler Nubin. And then you're going to be waiting for either a tackle or a wide receiver. And regardless, it's a decent pick, whoever you go with. So Nubin has to be the pick here. Grab your safety now. This way, Philly is covered in their spot. So off the board goes Tyler Nubin to Philly. And Pittsburgh's now going to be up. So it's going to go in Tyler Nubin. Safety, Minnesota. Next up is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh at 51 needs a decent amount. And by a decent amount, I mean a decent amount. Let's talk about what that means specifically. I'm lowering the desktop audio a little bit so we can talk about this a little more. And I'm upping my mic gain so this works out to be even. So now it sounds better. Because I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to have to up the mic a bit. So this is what you're hearing. When we talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, the biggest thing we talk about with them is they need tackle. They need interior line. Their guys are getting old. They really gonna have to make a decision at some point. You gotta ask yourself, like, at what point do you agree and make a move? I mean, Zach Frazier is right there, and that's a perfect pick. And you're not gonna get a great tackle at this point. You might get a really good one with Amagaji when you get down there. Like, Amagaji might still be there at 84, but if not, there's still some decent guys like Javon Foster you can get later on, or Christian Jones falls. Perfect fit. And they'll be perfectly fine. So to me, I mean, we're talking probably interior. You're going to have to go with Zach Frazier. Look at some of these guys that are still be around. Puny's not guaranteed to be there. Neither is Mahogany. Neither is Zinter is guaranteed. But no guarantee that Haynes is going to be there. BB, Van Pran, and Frazier will all be gone. So you have to figure out what's more important here. Well, to me, I think you just grab it early. Grab it early while you still got the chance. In the receiving group, you got some time. You got some time in the receiving group. So you can wait a little bit. But right now, Zach Frazier should be the pick. So Frazier, interior O-line from West Virginia, goes to Pittsburgh. That's me. Remember, talent is important. You want to make sure you get a guy who's got a lot of talent. If you don't prioritize the talent over the need, you will sometimes end up in a rough situation. It's usually a judgment call, but to me, it's based on different situations. So for Pittsburgh, this was needed at this point because there wasn't enough talent at the tackle spot or the receiver spot to justify going somewhere else at that point. But at the same time, there wasn't a need to get them, a tight end. They didn't need a tight end. There was no justification to get them a D lineman because it wasn't their primary need, For Pittsburgh, D lineman was a tertiary need. It wasn't a big need for them. So you take care of the interior need right now. Rams are up now, and the Rams are going to be looking for a decent amount. The Rams want an edge or a tackle. And when they're looking for edge or tackle, you can go with Adisa Isaac, who I really, really like. Or you can go with Kieran Amagaji and get ahead of it now, but I don't think they would do that. I think they'd rather go edge here. There's no quarterback to take, so... Really, edge is the spot to go, for being honest here. There we go, that's better. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to pick songs that we're not getting hit with copyright or whatever. With the Rams, I mean... Dude, edge is the pick. I can't justify going to safety for them. Or linebacker. We're not at that point. I think you have to go with edge. So Adisa Isaac's going to get picked early. Welcome to the Rams, bro. Welcome to the Rams. They need an edge badly. They get a really good talent. It's a slight reach, but it's worth it. I feel like that had to be the pick. There was no justification otherwise. 53 Phillies back on the board. And Philly is in need of... They took care of the two biggest needs, so now they need an offensive tackle. And you can't get Amagaji right now. In the receiving group, it's still a little too early. I wouldn't go linebacker, honestly. They're saying Jaron Cooper, and I wouldn't do that. Look, is linebacker a need? Sure, but it's not something where I'm like, okay, I gotta get him. Like, there's 90. We have pick number 97 after this. Look at the receiver group 97. You're down to Jalen McMillan and Brendan Rice if they're still there. Maybe Jermaine Burton will probably be the guy they get. Look at linebacker at 97. You're looking at Eichenberg. Eichenberg's pretty good. Look at edge. You're looking at probably in 97, Gabe Murphy or Austin Booker. You're looking at linebacker. You're looking at tackle. You're looking at Blake Fisher or Christian Jones. Two really good guys. You got to go off what you're not going to have a lot of good talent at when you get down there. And I guess it's tough, man. It's tough. I get why, though. I get why. At that spot, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna side with the simulator on that one. And Jaron Cooper, linebacker A&M. I'm gonna side with the simulator on that one. Remember what I said, sometimes it's important to make sure that you're covering the most important stuff. You know, that's the big thing. So in this case, you have to go, there's times you have to prioritize talent over need. And this was another one of those times because the talent didn't line up. The talent outweighed what they needed. Because you don't want to reach first a need with a guy whose talent doesn't match the talent of another guy who could have filled another potential need down the line. So now you go to Cleveland. They're at 54. Cleveland is deciding right now. It's their first pick of the draft. Receiver, D-line, linebacker. They really don't. They could wait till 85 for receiver. So D-line would probably be the pick for me here. Too easy for me. Chris Jenkins, you got a lot of talent there. Chris Jenkins has come off the board. He's been waiting a couple picks. So he comes off the board, D-line from Michigan. You now go to Miami at 55. What do you do? Miami at 55. That's the question. I genuinely don't know. I really don't know. Thinking about it. Alright, so let's mark it down though. Cleveland went D-line. Cool. Miami's up. Interior and edge. Interior and edge. And then you got D-line right here. See, here's another tricky part. Talent-wise, Leonard Taylor's above, but they're not too far apart. So, like, you could really justify picking... for Taylor and Ellis, it's a little far apart, but if you're talking, like, the interior O-line position, that's not too far apart, honestly. I think Beebe would be a great pick. Cooper Beebe, yeah. I don't know why somebody wouldn't do that. Why that option wasn't even recommended. Because that would have been a pick probably for the Giants if it kept sliding down. Okay, so you keep going now. Dallas is up. Dallas got their tackle. So Dallas now needs to decide what do they need. Corner is definitely a big need, and for Dallas, it's a perfect fit right away. No debate. Kalen King. Not even going to check the other needs. That's a big talent that they needed. They could wait. Next pick's 87. They could wait to pick a receiver. Dallas is up. They picked Kalen King. Not Kalen Ming. Kalen King. Cornerback, Penn State. That's where we're at, folks. Now Tampa Bay's at 57. They really need receiver and corner, but I can't justify getting them a receiver, so I think they're going to stick to defensive side here. I think it's the right pick to go with TJ Tampa. They could wait till 89 for a receiver. So I'm going to go with TJ Tampa. Not because his last name is Tampa. I promise you that's not the reason. I just think corner's a big need for them, especially with the issues they had this year with what's his name? Carlton Davis. And the injuries with Jamel Dean. Green Bay is now up at 58. What are they going to do? Corner. They need a corner as well. But they're not going to get that right now. So, running back time. But here's the debate. Do you go Trey Benson or Blake Corum? I know there's been debates. But the last time I did this talk, I made this decision. I went with Blake Corum over Trey Benson because Benson has injury concerns that have become a problem in this draft. And to me, I'm like, I don't know if his stock is, how big his stock is. I would take Corum over Benson because of the injury concerns of Benson. Can it sustain? And I'm not sold on him being entirely healthy. So I think Blake Corum fits the style better because he's a bruiser and he's a workhorse back. So to me, that's too easy of a pick. So Blake Corum ends up going to the Packers at 58. 59 now. We're going to go to... Who's going to be at 59? Houston. Yes, I'm working through multiple windows because I'm marking down my backup copy for those who are new to the channel. Also, if you're watching for the first time, please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel and following our Twitch channel. We don't do subscriptions on Twitch because we don't believe you should have to pay for the content that we're making. So, thank you very much. We appreciate all the support. We are also 8 followers away from hitting 30 followers on Twitch, so every follow counts and helps us in reaching our goal. So please consider following. Prep the next song. Here we go. I'm going to skip that because that sounded demonic. We're going to go to this one called Love. Play. Like it. Perfect. That did not sound good. So Houston, now that we took care of Green Bay's running back issue, we go to Houston. And Houston needs edge or D-line. And it could either be Jonah Ellis or it could be Leonard Taylor. And I think we all know where I'm going with this. It's going to be Leonard Taylor because of simply the talent alone. So Leonard Taylor goes to Houston. Got to go with the best guy on the board. It seemed too easy to me, honestly. It sounds weird to say, but it's the truth. Some teams are going to benefit from getting the best guy on the board and what they need. That's why my draft is always what I would do because we know for a fact this isn't happening. So this is just like if they were smart, this is what they would pull off. Like for the Bills, getting Keon Coleman's perfect, but if they can get Michael Holt Jr., that'd be great. If they could go maybe corner with a decent guy like Keelan Carson, but it's a little too early to get Carson. Maybe slightly early. And the edge spot, same thing with Jonah Ellis. So you got to realize at 99, what's a good pick? Gabe Murphy and Austin Booker are decent picks. It's like planning ahead. D-line, you know you're going to get a good pick with Mekhi Wingo or Tyler Davis, so you don't have to go D-line here. And if you go corner, if you don't get Keelan Carson, you're waiting until 99, you're probably going to get somebody like Cam Hart. Which, again, decent pick still, but you want Carson. If you go to safety, too, I mean, you got a really good safety on the horizon with Javon Bullard, but again, a lot of these guys are in fishy situations, so you got to think to yourself, what's really good in that ideal situation? Who's the best talent? And which position can you get later on that will still give you good impact? Like D-line, you can still get good impact later on. Corner, not so much. It might be more risky. Same thing with edge. Edge can be a little bit more risky, but I think it's better to go with a guy like Kalen Carson, who at least give you some cushion. So Kalen Carson to the Bills. Detroit's at 61. We're almost done with the second round, guys. Trust me, we're almost done. Then we got one more round left, and then we'll call it a night. Detroit's up. They need a corner more than anything else. That makes this way too easy for me. Chris Abrams drain. They got to get ahead of it now. Because, again, they have needs to meet. Baltimore's up at 62. You guys get what I'm saying now? Like, to some, it can be confusing, my logic, but I'm thinking, like, you got to jump on things quickly. Don't want to miss out on a guy. But here, Baltimore gets benefit from this. The next pick is 93. They're not going to have a lot of options. You go to tackle, not going to be a lot of options. There's going to be more options later on at 93. Like, things work out that way. And same thing with edge. So, receiver now is benefit, so take the talent when you can get it, you know? So that's what they're doing. They got Roman Wilson, wide receiver from Michigan. I don't think I've crossed out this paper in the last few picks. I do Houston's? Yeah, I got Houston done. Buffalo needed corner. Nope, I haven't done it since Buffalo. Detroit gets, Baltimore gets receiver. Detroit got a corner. Perfect. Now you're going to look at San Francisco at 63. What does San Francisco need at 63? Well, a lot of things. Tackle, big reach to get it now. The big in at 94. They'll be in the thick of this. Corner, you can take it now, but it's, again, a little bit of a reach as well. You'll be in the thick of it down here as well. And then if you go to edge, prime pick. Don't want to be stuck in that. So, Jonah Ellis, welcome to the 49ers. See what I mean? It's like I'm processing talent also by like how important it is to get that guy and like their talent, but also as well as the needs they have to fill later on. Because if they pick somebody just based off talent now, it's not in the major need. They have to still hit that need later on. So this would be the best way to do it. It's all about strategy. Plug the holes with the right people. And now Kansas City's the last pick of the second round right here. We're about to clean it up. We'll do a quick recap and then we'll go right into round 3. So Kansas City's up at this point, 64. They got their receiver. They're going to need D-line and probably corner. So Kansas City, if you're going D-line at corner, I mean, Kansas City's D-line and actually tackle. But they're going to need, but I mean, like, oh, it's perfect. Michael Holt Jr., done. You got, again, like, it makes it so easy sometimes. It's their second biggest need. He's a great talent at that spot. You can't pass that up. That's how I view it. I also got the privilege to see him at the Senior Bowl as well. He's another great talent. And we're going to stop the music right here so we can talk over our picks. So if you guys are still tuned in, here's a recap of round number 2. Actually, we'll just recap the picks we have so far for each team. So at this point, Arizona has Marvin Harrison Jr., Ennis Rakestraw Jr., and Braylon Trice. They had a receiver, corner, and edge in the first 2 rounds. Atlanta hits edge and QB in their first 2 rounds. They get the edge first and then the QB later. They get J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner. They go to Baltimore. They get Kamari Lassiter and Roman Wilson. Buffalo Bills get Keon Coleman and Kalen Carson, so receiver and corner. Go to Carolina. They have only 1 pick so far, and it was Adonai Mitchell, so they still have a receiver group issue. The Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams and Romo Duns. They finally get to pick in the third round, so we're going to see what that looks like for them. Cincinnati at 18 and 49, they pick Amarius Mims, a tackle, and Devontae Walker, a receiver from North Carolina. Cleveland had one pick in the second round. It was for Chris Jenkins, the lineman from Michigan. So you have a guy to work alongside Myles Garrett. You go to Dallas, you got Tyler Guyton and Kalen King, tackle and corner. Two biggest needs solved. Denver had one pick. They got Leatu Latu, edge from UCLA. They're still in need of a quarterback, which means they'll probably be the team to get one in free agency. Detroit, Byron Murphy, Chris Abrams strengths. They get D-line and corner, defensive focus to start. Packers got 3 picks. Morgan, Kinchins, Corum. So they get a running back, a power running back to go with Aaron Jones. They get Jordan Morgan, who's a tackle, to get some protection for Love, and Kinchins, safety, because they need safety help badly in the secondary. Houston Texans got 2 picks they've used. Brian Thomas Jr., Leonard Taylor, receiver and D-line. Get Stroud some receiving help and also some assistance in the defensive side. Terry Arnold and Xavier Legette, corner and receiver for Indy, facing up the 2 most important skill positions for them. Jaguars, same thing, Wiggins and Polk. I couldn't pick who was better, honestly. Chiefs, Franklin and Michael Hall Jr., they're getting away with amazing picks here with the limited amount of picks they do have. They're making the most of each. The Raiders made that trade to get Jaden Daniels, so they get their quarterback, and they also get a D-lineman, Devondre Sweat, so they're looking real good right now. They got plenty of picks to keep going. The Chargers, Brock Bowers, Kingsley Suamataia. They're doing a lot of great work to get a tackle and a tight end in there to protect him, to protect Herbert, and then to also really open up the vertical game a little bit more. Let's go down now to the Rams. Quinyon Mitchell and Adisa Isaac, both defensive focus. They got to rebuild that terrifying defense they had back for Super Bowl 56. The Dolphins, 2 picks, have Fatanu and Cooper Beebe. Both offensive line focus to really make sure Tua doesn't sweat next season. Vikings, Jared Verse, Michael Penix Jr. get their quarterback of the future and also get a replacement at the edge spot in case they lose any of their edge rushers in free agency. New England gets Drake May, so they get a really good franchise quarterback and a receiver that he can throw to that can be a big asset for the team for years to come. Saints, Latham, Worthy, tackle, receiver, too easy. Has to be that way. Got to really ramp up the offense because that was the main issue for the Saints last year, more than the defense was. But the Jets, only 1 pick so far. They got a 3rd-round pick here they're going to mess with. They get Olu Fashanu, so offensive tackle to protect Aaron Rodgers so he doesn't, get hurt again. Go to the Giants. They've had 3 picks at this point. It's Neighbors, Patrick Paul, and Graham Barton. A little weird they haven't taken a quarterback, but there's a reason. Or even a corner. Corners are more available later on, so they're going to capitalize off that. But Neighbors, Pat Paul, and Graham Barton are the 3 all offensive focused. They needed that. That's their priority. That's what they get. Because you got to give Daniel Jones the best chance possible to succeed, even if he may not be on the team after next season. For Philly, it's Cooper DeJean, it's Tyler Nubin, it's Edgar and Cooper. So you have corner, safety, linebacker, all defensive focus because the defense is going to be needing a real retool for next season. Steelers get corner and interior O-line, so they get more protection for whichever quarterback they're going to have. And Kool-Aid McKinstry, the corner from Alabama, will be in here as well. They get somebody to go alongside Porter to create a lockdown corner tandem. Niners, JPJ and Jonah Ellis, they get interior O-line and edge. Good pass rush help. You get good pass rush help, and they get a good interior guy to help protect Purdy and open up the run game a little more. Seahawks, they've only had 1 pick. It's Jerson Newton. They needed a D lineman badly. They got him. They're going to get some nice defensive pressure from him. Bucks, Chop Robinson, TJ Tampa, defensive focus because their defense is going to lose a lot of pieces this offseason. Tennessee Titans, Joe Alt, Darius Robinson, tackle and edge. They needed somebody to protect Levis and also a guy to get more pressure because that's something the Titans lacked this past season. And finally, the Commanders, in that trade they made with Vegas, they were able to go back to 13, get an offensive tackle to protect whatever quarterback they have. So they get Talise Fuaga. Then they draft a quarterback early in the 2nd round with Bo Nix. And then they get their edge at number 40 with Chris Braswell. So really overall, they've probably had the strongest draft of everybody. But again, this is working for all 32 teams to give them the best picks possible at the position they're in. Put them in the best situation to win for every pick. That's what I've been doing. And that's what we've come up with. So we've kind of been fulfilling that. And we're at almost 3 hours here on stream, so we really got to ramp this up, this final round. Let's try to do this before midnight, get this done before midnight. So this is going to be a long round. Bear with me, folks. we've got to do from pick 65 to 101. We're in for a long ride. I love all of you. I really do. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in and staying with us through all this. So it's really time consuming and, a lot of effort goes into this. So I thank y'all for tuning in and staying with us here. So thank you. Pick number 65. We're going back to Carolina. Golden Oreo, by the way, if you're wondering. So 5 picks remaining for Carolina. They got to keep building up the offense, but, here's the thing. If they take Ja'Tavion Sanders, yes, it's the most talented guy left on the board right now, but how big is the need? It's a primary need to me. It's a primary need over interior O-line and tackle, which to them is very important, but to me it's not as important what else they need. But again, they pick at 102. You can grab tight ends in free agency and fix things a little bit. There's still some decent guys you can get later on, I'm pretty sure, but interior O-line is very important because if you don't have that, it's going to be very thin later on, and it's not going to be very strong guys. Because believe me, I watched a lot of these interior guys play at the combine. I mean, not the combine, at the Senior Bowl, and I definitely know when the fall off is here on this list. So trust me when I say it's better to get it early now. When you look at edge, way more. There's definitely some talent here you can get later. And for tackle, similar situation, you can get it later on. So if I'm Carolina, I'm going to go ahead and capitalize on the interior O-line. We'll take care of tight end when it comes. So Cedric Van Pran goes to the Panthers. I feel like that's the only pick that made sense to me. Some can debate that, but protection is important for Bryce Young. It's very important. No limitations on that. Let me keep giving myself some water because I can feel my throat starting to dry out. That's better. That's way better. So I'm sure you guys can hear me now a little bit better, but I have to up the gain a little bit just because I want you guys to be able to hear me and, not have to yell. So I'm going to up the gain on this mic. I wish you all the best of luck. I really do. There we go. That's better. If I sound too loud, I apologize. So for the Cardinals, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the tackle, take a look at D-line, and take a look at interior O-line. And at this point, for the D-line, Rook Orhoro, I can't even say his name, Orhoro, yeah, I'm going to say Rook. You can go with Rook here, which would be a decent pick. If you look at the tackle spot, Amagachi would be a great pick, but it's a little early to be picking him at 66. In the interior spot, Christian Haynes is definitely a reach here, so they pick in 71. They'll probably get something better at that point. Grab your best D-line you can. Rook Orhoro would be great for them. I hate that I can't pronounce names. I really apologize if I butcher anybody's name here. I'm not the best with them. Washington's up. Washington needs a linebacker. Right? Yeah. Oh, I forgot to cross off the stuff. So Carolina got their... What did we say? We got them a interior O-lineman. Yes. We got them Van Pran. And Arizona got a D-lineman, which is something they really needed. Okay. Washington now needs a tight end, linebacker, interior, or wide receiver. So, you guys already know where I'm going with this. Since they need tight end, Ja'Tavion Sanders. Too freaking easy. Because they really don't have a tight end to call their own, to call like their best guy. So, they're really struggling. So, Ja'Tavion Sanders solves the main issue for them. Their whole first primary needs are... They're the only team whose primary needs right now are completely covered outside of Arizona. That's in the NFC, it's them and Arizona who have all their primary needs covered. In the AFC side, no one else has done that yet. So we're still in store to see who else can fit their needs, their most important needs. 68 is New England. New England's looking for a tackle, looking for an edge, right? I believe that's the case. Tackle is the most important thing they're looking for, but they may not get it at 68. They might have to wait till 104. But nevertheless, you got tight end as well. You're looking at corner. And you're looking at running back. Running back's an important position, but they can wait a little bit. I think corner is a big spot that they could fill now to get ahead of it. I mean, 104, again, you can get one of these guys, but people are going to be gunning for them. If you go tight end, these guys are going to linger for a while. You can probably get one at 136 like Ben Sinnott or Jared Wiley. If you go tackle, I mean, you could wait until at 104 and you'll be fine. It'd probably be the smart move to wait to 104. You could probably get Christian Jones and steal him away from everybody. If you go edge, you solve your defensive need big time because you haven't done any defensive work yet. So, to me, get Brandon Dorless. That's the pick. Solve your edge need now. Get ahead of it before other people do. That's how I see it, at least. Again, you guys are free to disagree at any point. I probably sound like I'm whispering, but it's more because I'm trying to preserve my voice. I'm trying not to, kill it all in one shot because I do have work tomorrow. So, I'm trying my best to preserve it as best as I can. New England's still looking to solve their primary need of tackle, which will probably come up in the next pick. 69, nice. It's going to be the Chargers. Chargers are up. What do the Chargers do? Well, Chargers need a corner and receiver. Let's check receiver first. Let's check all that first. You can go Malachi Corley here, take care of receiver need. You can go corner here, take what your defensive back need. Your next pick's 106. Got some decent guys you're going to be gunning for here. You come down here, there's going to be some decent guys as well. So there's really no losing here. It's about who you're going to more likely find a starter with. I think you're more likely to find a starting guy with the corner group than you are with the receiving group, to be honest. So I will say DJ James is their pick. Plus they haven't really gone defense, so they need it. Better to get it now and get ahead of it. Number 70 is the New York Giants. Giants get the pick now. Chargers got a corner. Solve their second biggest need. If they take care of receiver, the Chargers are all set in the primary category. Giants now are looking for QB, corner, and edge. Now, if you stick with corner, you get Mike Senristel from Michigan. If you go edge, you really too early to get Marshawn Nealand. And if you go quarterback, I mean, it's a little early for Rattler. So look at what the needs are, see what other teams need. Maybe you can negotiate a trade. Maybe we can negotiate a trade here. Let's see if you guys can come up with a trade. We're looking for a trade to resolve this issue. Let's see who it could be. Arizona needs tackle and interior. Let's see. Anybody big that they could take? Yeah, they're going to start catching up on Christian Haynes, and I know for a fact the Jets are going to be gunning for Haynes because they really like him. They're just going to form up that guard spot. He can play center. He can play do both. So, if Detroit needs it, does Detroit need it badly? No. Who needs interior pretty badly? That would choose somebody like Christian Haynes because, listen, it's going to get thick real quick, and then it's going to thin out. It's got to be a position like everybody's going to be gunning for. Like the Cardinals, it's either tackle or interior for them, and everybody's going to be going for interior real soon. So, and also tackle. Somebody's got to jump in and get Amagachi soon. So who would do that? Rams have a tackle need. Maybe the Rams make a trade. Let's see. Can they do it? They have a lot of picks. They have a total of 10 picks. They've already used 2 of them. They got 8 more to go. 83 is their next pick. They could jump it, honestly. I mean, the Giants would fall pretty far back, but the Giants would have a lot more time. Like the Giants pick it at 70. It's a long time before they got to pick again, but is it worth it for them? Who else could they take? Philly. Where's Philly at? Philly picks at 97. Too far back for the Giants. San Francisco, how about them? 94. Too far back. Seattle. How about Seattle? 78. That's actually not far back at all. They can make that trade. So how about this? Giants trade with Seattle. Seattle gets to move up. They'll trade 70 for 78. And Seattle will give them probably their, what, 6th? It's not too much of a jump up they got to make, so maybe 6? Nope. We'll try that again. We'll say the 3rd and then the 5th. That's better. Okay. Do we all agree on this trade? Do we all agree on this trade happening right now? Are we all in agreement? Okay, we're all in agreement then. All right. The Giants, mark it down real quick, make a note of it. The Giants are going to make this trade, give it to Seattle. They're trading 370 to Seattle for 378. And what was it? It was 5 what? 5,151. Perfect. The Giants are now on the board. It's accepted. Seattle's now on the clock. They can grab what they need. They're going to take Amagaji to get ahead of everybody and just beat everybody to the punch. Because they're going to need a safety. I mean, they're going to need an edge at some point, but that's a big need that they need to tackle right there. They need to get more protection for Gino. So they're the team that's going to make that made that trade, and I'm okay with that. Again, I don't think he's a bad tackle. It's just somebody you don't expect them to make a trade like that, but they had to. Arizona's up, and now Arizona is in a tricky situation because now they need they want to tackle an interior, but you can't really get a tackle now because it's too early. And you're going to have to wait a bit, so now they can't get a tackle. They could go interior and take Christian Haynes and screw over the Jets if it's really something they want. But you also got really good linebackers here, like Peyton Wilson's still on the board. He's a big name that people want, so I could see them going with that. So that's gonna be the pick then. They need the teams are gonna want a linebacker. Arizona kind of needs a linebacker, so it makes sense that they go with that. So Peyton Wilson, welcome to Arizona, buddy. He's still on the board. The talent outweighs the need in that situation. Teams were gonna want that, and you don't want to let that slide through your fingers. Jets. Jets need a receiver and a tight end, but they also need QB, an interior, and D-line. You have to ask, what's more important for the Jets? Getting a receiver, going tight end, going QB, going interior, going D-line. There's a lot of D-linemen. Honestly, you gotta get a guy to go with the man over there, Garrett Wilson. So Malachi Corley's the pick. You can't assume that a team's getting drafted, that the team's gonna sign somebody in this. Unfortunately, again, my perfect fit is Christian Haynes to the Jets, but that's not gonna happen. It's realistic. They're just not gonna happen. It's unfortunate, but it is the truth. So I'm gonna mark that down. Jets get Malachi Corley, wide receiver, Western Kentucky. Look at that. We're already at pick 73. We're making good progress. We're making the path to 101, and then we're calling it a night. So here we go. Lions are up at 73. Oh, Lord. Okay. Lord almighty. Detroit at 73. What do they need? Super Bowl. Well, Detroit could really use an edge. They could really use an interior O lineman. Control the top edge and interior O lineman. Oh, then this is a perfect pick for them. They'll be the one to get Christian Haynes because if they wait till 70 to 92, these guys will be gone. And if they go to wait on edge, they're not going to get a lot of great talent, honestly. In 92, they got to probably go for somebody like this. Oh, that actually aids the argument, but they're still too high to grab them. I think it's too early. Edge is a big need for them. Edge is a big need. And then after 92, their next pick's not until 163. So they really need to pick something now. Like, they can wait on interior guy a bit. Like, look, at 163, I've watched Lamea. He's still pretty good. So is Agua Khan. I mean, yeah. Okay. Edges, because they can still get a receiver or tackle at 92. So, edge. $74 now. Okay, I thought it was crazy. When I did Detroit, I crossed out edge and not D-line, but it didn't matter. They got all three things they needed. We can go back to Atlanta now. I might be tired. I might have made some mistakes on this sheet, so I'm just going to try to focus up. Teams really need... See, this team really needs, like... they need a lot. But look, they can use a receiver, but it's too early. They'll get another pick at 79, so they'll get another shot at this, but... You got corners that they could really use, like San Ristel, who won't be there at 79. They could also go safeties, which there will be a couple that they could take, but talent, remember what I said, talent outweighs needs sometimes. And in this case, Atlanta's got a few picks that they need to make, and safety will be something they need to get later on. So getting it now will be a big win for them. And there's still a couple corners they can wait on. Like, they can get Josh Newton or maybe go after Max Melton if they want him. So to me, maybe get the need. Like, you can go D-line too, but go around at 110. Like, you're fine. Javon Bullard. Make him take the top talent. Make it hard for anybody else to be like, no, they took him a safety. Like, that's a big deal. And I watched Bullard. Bullard is great. Bullard is a great safety, so it's a big one. Chicago's up. What is Chicago going to do with their pick? Well, they need an edge. And the edge is off the board. They need a tackle. Tackle's off the board. But the interior O-line are still on the board. Picking at 111. So, once again, a debate of what's more important. A tackle, a D lineman, or a interior O-lineman. And in this case, interior lineman is more important. So they get Christian Haynes. Welcome to Chicago, buddy. Get prepared for years of disappointment in Chicago. Christian Haynes, not Janes. Christian Haynes, interior lineman, UConn. Welcome to Denver at number 76. My phone was about to fall, bro. Or was really about to fall. 11:27, I picked 76. 30 minutes to really finish this now. Let's take a look. So, Denver's need, they only got one thing, which was edge. So Denver is in need of other things. Denver needs QB, corner, D-line, receiver, tackle. Is it QB, corner, D lineman. No, that's what I said. D lineman, yeah. Receiver. And tackle. If I'm being honest with you, I'm going to make a decision that's going to piss off a lot of people. But I know how teams work. It's going to bother some, irritate some, really anger some. But they're the only team that really desperately needs a QB that's left on this list. Giants really do not need it. They're going to stick with their guy. So if that's the case, they're sticking with their guy. Ladies and gentlemen, actually, no. Denver's going to make a trade here. The top player on this list that's left is a running back. And there's no real teams that need a running back as their priority. But a safety, there's a handful that still need a safety. Very sure of that. Nope, I was wrong. Got a linebacker, though. Cleveland. Cleveland needs a linebacker, but didn't Cleveland make a trade already? No, they didn't. Cleveland did not make a trade, so Cleveland could make a deal with Denver. Give them what they need. Cleveland's pick is when? When is Cleveland's next pick? Cleveland is picking at 5th round. And they're at 85. And Denver is at 76. If they make this trade, they'd probably have to trade like 155 to make this happen. Right? Yeah. Alright. That'll work. Are we all in agreement on this trade? It helps Denver move back so that they can make it seem like more believable when they take Rattler. If Cleveland trades up, they can go get the thing they need, which is they need a safety. They need a linebacker. They can go get Jeremiah Trotter, who's probably the best linebacker they can get right now. And a great steal. Top 3 linebacker in this class. Can't miss out on this one. They need to go capitalize. We in agreement? I'm going to take that as yes. So, there we go. Let's see. Yep, I'm taking his agreement. So we're going to go ahead and take this trade. So Denver trades. Just coming out Cleveland via Denver. So Cleveland via Denver. That's the trade. So there it is. Cleveland is now on the clock at 76. They can use running back or linebacker. Doesn't matter. They can go get Trey Benson, take the risk, and say screw it. They can go get Jeremiah Trotter and call it a day. To me, you have to take Trotter. You have to take Trotter. You're going to get Chubb back. Chubb's going to be just fine. Doesn't matter if he's coming off a bad injury. Does not matter. He came back the first time. He can come back a second time. They need a linebacker. Does not matter to me. 135 goes to. Will probably be running back then. But right now, this is a big need. Get your linebacker. Cleveland, get your Jeremiah Trotter Jr. No shot they don't do that. You have to be crazy not to do that. He's a good linebacker that was sliding down the board unnecessarily. Not at his own fault because teams just were going after their needs and the other talent that was available on the board. Like Benson and Bullock still being up here is insane. But now Vegas is up. Vegas needs to make a pick. What does Vegas do? Well, it's 11:31. Let's see what Vegas can pull off, right? Vegas is looking at a few things. Quarter and tackle are the main things. They got their D lineman, which I forgot to mark, actually. They got their D lineman. Vegas needs to get their corner or tackle. And if they're going to do that, big Mike Sainristil. That's just actually perfect for them. So, Vegas gets corner. Problem solved. They need to fix their secondary. So, Mike Sainristil, the cornerback from Michigan, is selected. New York Giants get it via Seattle. And their pick should be easier now. You want a corner, right? More realistic to get your corner. Right? More realistic to get your corner. Not your edge, but your corner. More realistic to get a D lineman if you want him. I think they really need a corner. And to get Josh Newton, it's a win to me. So, Josh Newton is their pick. They get Josh Newton. There's a win for you. Giants get their corner. Atlanta's up. Atlanta needs a receiver, corner, or D lineman. They're going to go D line because the receiving group will be probably much better once you hit 110. So they can probably get sneak away with Thrash. Because Parasol, you know what? Actually, no. Parasol's a good pick. Parasol's a good player. Atlanta needs to take this. They need a receiving group bad. So, Parasol, screw it. I keep talking about talent outweighing like other things. But you know what? Their need was very important there. Remember the receiving core and what it sounds like and what it looks like? They needed to get a receiver, and that's the pick to do it. You can't let it wait any longer. 80 is Cincinnati. So we have 21 picks to go with 26 minutes to go. Let's see if we can do this in speed time. So Cincinnati looking at tight end and D-line, right? Tight end and D-line. Easy pick here because you're going to get a tight end later on. Easy pick here. You can come down to these guys. So go to D-line. Take McKinley Jackson. Problem solved. McKinley Jackson off the board. The 3 top needs are off the board now. Taken care of. So McKinley Jackson, D lineman, Texas A&M. '81 Seattle. Seattle's in need of an edge, QB, interior O-line, and corner. So QB, edge, interior O-line, corner. They're picking up at 119. There's still some decent guys on the board at 119, so they can live there. You go to D lineman here. Mainly go to D line. You go to your edge. You're gonna have to wait a while. Probably have to wait a while. Gonna have to wait a while. But outside of that, you ignore that that edge situation. You go to the interior O line. Dude, you grab it now. You could literally grab it now. My cutoff for really good guys that could potentially starters is Javion Cohen. That's my cutoff, Javion Cohen. After him, it really dies off. But corner's important. And when you go down 190, he's like, here's the problem. You have to look at also the next pick after, which is like a 6 pick. This is like a 6-round pick right here. So corners looking here. Nope, nobody cares about the quarterback position there. Interior O-line, I mean, there's some decent guys around like the 190s. Like Turner's really great. So, and McCormick's pretty decent. So is Darius Henderson. So, I mean, I don't know though. The corner spot dies off right around here. Right around after Brownlee, really. That's where it completely dies off. So, it'd be more important to get a corner now or in the next 2 picks. An edge is like, you got a little bit of depth to this. You can pick around here. So, they go edge there. Yeah, they don't need edge at this spot. Corner they can possibly do, but there is a cutoff. You gotta do the next 2 picks. And then look at interior. Interior survives until about this point. So they probably won't reach what they're looking for once you hit this point. So they got to do that in the next 2 picks. I would grab that now because it's probably the higher ranking with stuff. Just knock it out of the way now. They can wait. They can put their edge to the side. And they can put their corner to the side. More importantly, edge is probably going to be the more important priority when you hit this point. I mean, it gets deeper as you get lower. So it'll probably be interior O-line then corner is their priority. So right now, just take Puny. Just take Puny and get done. Dom Puny's off the board. So now you guys see my logic and how I process these things. It's a lot of internal discussion that comes outwards. That's where we're at right now. So I'm just chilling. I'm chilling right here. So Seattle Puny comes off the board at 0 line. Cool. Indy's up 82. That's what Indy wants. Indy's looking to edge. They really want an edge rusher. They need it pretty bad. But they also need D-line. And Mason Smith is right there for him to take. And so is Cade Stover. But Stover a bit of a reach at this point. So I think D-line's a good pick. So I'll give him Mason Smith. I know there's not a lot of logic in that pick, but there's a method to my madness. Believe me. D-lineman, there's going to be a gap at some point. So you have to be ready for those gaps. You have to be ready for the gaps in talent and stuff that's available. That's the biggest thing when you're doing these mocks. So now we're at the Rams. Rams are up now. Rams need tackle, QB, interior, safety. Who's the only team left that needs a QB? I think I made them trade back, right? Denver. Denver's coming up at 85. Still got a few picks to go. Rattler will probably stick around till then, but we don't know. Rams need a tackle. They're not going to take QB now. They'll probably wait till next year. Tackle. Well, if they do, they'll probably take a lesser backup. Tackle. Tackle for the Rams. Nothing there. Safety. Yep, that's going to be the pick. You cannot wait any longer. You have pick 100. You'll be perfectly fine. You get one more pick in the third round, so I think they're okay. And they'll get a decent interior O-line at 100. Probably. Actually, maybe not. I might have just screwed them. Because they could have got Hicks, Bishop, or Tyke Smith. Oh, I might have screwed them. Alright, doesn't matter. What's done is done. I wish there was a way where you could, undo the pick you just made in these things. If you could undo the pick, that'd be great. But I don't think you can. You have to reset the whole thing. If anything, I'll probably reset it later. Who knows? Maybe do the correct pick I would have done. If I would have paid more attention. Steelers are on the board. Steelers need a tackle. Not going to get it. Receiver. QB. Linebacker. D-line. Apparently D-line. Safety. Nothing really good for them outside of, Breed Fisk can solve the D-line issue, but I mean, it's like a secondary thing. It's like borderline secondary. Secondary to tertiary. Receiver be bigger deal to me, so I think they reach for Johnny Wilson, which gets labeled a B, apparently. But they do need a receiver, big vertical threat, gets up there, gets the ball with no issues. Johnny Wilson's my pick. Gotta do it. You can't push off receiver for too long. Remember what I said. These guys are going to fall right into your hands sometimes. You got to be really careful with them. Denver's up. I'm not even going to take my time with it. I already know what my pick's going to be, and I'm already prepping it up for the next pick because I already know where I'm going. Denver, who made that trade earlier with Cleveland, is going to capitalize on that trade with Cleveland and get the guy they've been waiting for, that they knew nobody was going to pick. So let's go over here again, shall we? And the pick is Spencer Rattler. Welcome, buddy. Welcome to the team. Denver gets their quarterback that they're looking for. That's the last starter quality that I've seen in this draft. Everyone else from here on out's a backup. Backup or worse. Houston at 86 needs an edge. Needs corner. Needs tackle. A safety. And a running back. So, your next pick is 124, so not going to be a lot here when they get there. Look at tackle, when they get to 124, they're going to have a little bit. You get to edge, there's going to be a little bit. But it's probably going to be like 128 to be closer to. That's really it. Corner. Some decent ones around here, actually. So they don't have to grab corner now. They do need to get safety, though. Safety is a big thing they need. You can wait on the tackle a little bit. Jane Hicks is my pick. Did they just give me a B for that? Yeah, B plus, of course. You have to go off positional needs, folks, and also when you can go capitalize on the position later on. It's all about planning. So Houston gets Jaden Hicks. That is the pick, Jaden Hicks. It's going to be Jaden Hicks, the safety of Washington State. Don't know why, but it's going to be 87. We got 15 minutes to go, and we are at pick number 87 of 101. This pick belongs to Dallas Cowboys. Now, what do the Dallas Cowboys do? Besides, choking playoffs every year. Haha. Receiver. Interior O-line. Actually would probably be a good pick as interior. Their next pick's 173. They're going to be waiting a while. There's really not a lot that's like starter level once you get down there. Receiving group, I mean, when you hit 173, you're like talking Whittington, so you're past the starter levels at that point as well. Cowboys are in a really tight jam. Really tight jam. What they would benefit from is a trade right now. Somebody who can move up and grab something. That's what it would take for them. Would anybody be willing to do so is the question. Because again, there's guys on the board they could take. They could take a running back if they really, really need it. But it has to be a power back. So they would probably be going with like a Jonathan Brooks type. Which is actually a big, big pick here. That'd be a massive pick. But knowing them, they're going to go interior O-line. So, Christian Mahogany, you are a Dallas Cowboy. I don't disagree with the pick. I know how they are. It's just no surprise there. Got the next two ones primed up and ready to go for Green Bay. They're still looking for a corner. Still looking for a corner. And in this case, I mean, this is the perfect time to grab one. You get into the pick at 91. You might as well get your corner now and then deal with whatever else you have later on. Like, interior's going to wait. D-line's going to wait. Well, actually, no. He might be gone. He might be gone. Braden Fisk still being on the board is actually a madness. Yeah, you can wait for the corner. Go ahead. Go grab Braden Fisk. Oh my gosh. What am I doing? Braden Fisk is off the board. They'll grab a corner right after this, and everybody's solved for now. Green Bay is just that good, by the way. They just got gifted that. He was so good down there in Alabama. Florida State D lineman. Oh, he was so good. Tampa Bay needs a receiver. QB. Did not take Michael Pratt. Very mind. Interior O-line. They could wait a little bit. But I wouldn't mind them getting center, but still. And then tackle. Lee Fisher. Oh, it's a waiting game for this one as well. So I think if I'm them, I'm definitely capitalizing receiver now. And I don't like McMillan as much as I love Rice. So I'm going to grab Brendan Rice, honestly. Which, again, B+. But I'm telling you, I'll watch the man play in person. I know what he can do, and I think it's a perfect spot for him. I have him over McMillan, so to me, that's a win. I'll take him all day. Arizona, pick number 90. pace solves their receiver problem. All of Tampa's primary needs are completed. So now it is Arizona's turn, and Arizona needs to think about this very carefully. Pretty much hit a lot of their needs. They're now down to like tackle and interior. The rest of the way, they're pretty much in control of their picks, so like tackle and interior is not a big deal. I think if I'm them though, I would want to go interior. Yep, Zach Center. Made it so easy, but it's also going to screw over who else was trying to make a trade. If somebody was trying to trade up, that's going to cost them. So interior O-line's completed. We're pick number 91. So see, we're flying through this. We got 10 more to go with 12 minutes left. Under 12 minutes. Packers are up. Packers are at 91. They are looking for a corner, which is still on the board. Interior O-line, which is not on the board, which they'll probably get at 127, which, again, not a big deal to me. They'll figure it out. Cohen and Adams. It's a little bit of a drop, but it's still decent to go with Adams. But you can't miss out on corners. You need to get somebody here. And to me, you can't not get this guy. So you're going to have to get a good guy, and this is the best you're going to get. So, I mean, there's going to be arguments to get running backs here and linebackers, but to me, you have to get a corner. So go with Max Melton. Green Bay gets Max Melton. They have now solved all of their primary needs as well. That's the thing. When you're in the first 3 rounds, your goal is to fix all your primary needs as best as you can based off the position you're in. But if you have a point where like it doesn't make sense to skip over really good talent just to get to skip over really good talent just to get your need that's less talented, you got to know the difference. So Detroit's up now. Where's Detroit at? Detroit needs receiver, interior, safety. McMillan will be a decent pick, honestly. But here's the thing, they picked him 163. You're going to be down a good amount and probably can steal Rosemary Jackson, but that's what you want. Come down here. Interior O-line, if you fall to 163, you can probably still get a decent guy down here, so you can survive that. If you don't go tackle here, you're probably going to be dealing with Pearl, which is not a big deal, but still. Once you get like the 200s, you're going to be very thin. So, the priority here is either tackle or receiver. I think receiver's a bigger deal. McMillan, welcome to the Lions, buddy. That's where we're at. If I'm being very quiet, I apologize. It is late. I'm trying not to keep anybody awake in my house. So, 93. Pick 93. It is Baltimore's turn now. Baltimore's got to make their pick. Baltimore's got to hit one more primary need, and they're good, which is edge. But they also need to look at running back very seriously. Because a lot of their running backs are on the free agency side, so you have to be really careful. This would be the only time I would actually say get a running back. And you can't skip Trey Benson. That is literally the guy. Yes, injury concerns, but you got to get him. You just got to get him. You pick a 131 again, don't worry, there's plenty of talent here to be fine at 131. Benson's the pick. Trey Benson. Give me Trey Benson. Baltimore solves the running back need. I'm sorry. I should have labeled that way higher, and I didn't. The running backs are finally going to start coming off the board right about now, so be ready for that. There are going to be teams that need them, so San Francisco's next. They don't need a running back, but they need a tackle or a corner. The next pick's 98, so they got 2 picks here they could utilize. 94, 98, what could you do? You can probably afford one of these guys once you get to 98. But you want to pick the one that's better. That's the problem. I would pick Hart now. So when you get the tackle, Fisher. Well, no, Fisher might be gone, honestly. Get Fisher. Get Fisher. Get it done. And there you go, Blake Fisher. It's a B, but it's needed. So Blake Fisher, offensive tackle, Notre Dame. That's what they need, right? Am I wrong? Casey's up. Yeah, they need a tackle. Corner's up. That is what Kansas City needs, is a corner. That's their big needs, corner. Because otherwise, KC, well, no, tackle's actually a big concern, but they do need a corner. And they could just take one right now and just call it a day. Pick in 133, no issues. Grab a tackle around 133 with one of these two. Perfectly fine. So, Cam Hart goes to Kansas City. And what teams need? And a lot of teams don't really need linebackers. It's not their major need. Jacksonville is up though, and they're probably gonna need one eventually. But edge is a big get for them. Big get. We've got less than 6 minutes to go here. Let's see what we can do. Pick 96. Edge. Yeah, edge would be an easy pick for me. I can pick in at 115, and they're gonna be down to here. So. Tackle, very slim. They'll probably get a better chance down here. Interior O-line, same situation. And then D-line, I mean, you can take somebody now, but like, probably wait till 152 and get one of these guys. They're really good. Any of these three are really good. So I think the pick is pretty obvious. They're going to go edge and take Gabe Harvey. I think that's the pick. That's the pick for me. Get your edge solved, and now Jacksonville has solved their primary needs. Now it's Philly. Philly needs a tackle, receiver, and interior. So tackle, receiver, interior. I think receiver is probably the pick here because it's among talent-wise, it's probably the best one. But they're not going to pick until 160, so you have to really take that into account. Can they go with Luke McCaffrey instead? If you go tackle, you're talking, if they wait to 160, there's really nobody available. If you go edge, if you don't go edge, it's going to go down to like, you got decent picks here. So you can afford not to go edge, but it's between tackle and receiver. What's more important, getting another receiver in there, getting a protection? To me, it's protection, but here's the problem. Does it justify picking Jones over Jermaine Burton? Yes, it does. I really do like Christian Jones. It's going to be a B+, but it is a good pick to me. Like Christian Jones is the pick to me. Sorry. I'm sure there are going to be people like, why wouldn't you do that? It's a lower number, but I know what I saw with him there at the event. He is very good. Very good. And he's not talked about enough. He's a very good player. San Francisco's up. San Francisco needs corner, safety, receiver. Corner, safety, receiver. If they go safety, they're waiting until 125. And at that point, there's not going to be one to take. They have to wait till 132, and it's just going to be like the whole thing. Better to get a safety now. But corner, you'd be fine if you fall. Perfectly fine with them. And then you go to receiver. If they don't get a receiver, well, the 125, 132, you're still in a decent zone. Not bad. Get your defensive guy. Cole Bishop. There you go. San Francisco gets Cole Bishop. Here's your safety, problem solved. $99, we are at Buffalo. Then we got the Rams. And then we close out with the Commanders. It'll be round 4 right after that. So be aware of that. We're going to be up to now Buffalo with 3 picks left to go with under 3 minutes to go. So Buffalo needs D-line, edge, safety. D-line, there's plenty of talent here. Edge, lesser talent. You're looking at safety. No. Well, yeah, but you're going to wait till 129. It's not going to be the best situation for them, but I don't know if they're going to necessarily need that as bad. D-line's their biggest need. And to attack your biggest need now with the best talent available, it's the smartest move. So just take care of it now. Boom. Makai Wingo, D-lineman, LSU. Now we're down to the Rams at 100. Rams need, right? The Rams do need a tackle, QB, and interior lineman. But here's the thing. Can you justify going tackle, interior lineman, or QB at this point? I mean, if you go QB, you're waiting to 153 for the next pick again. Just not worth it. Go tackle here. You're reaching. You go interior lineman here. It's a little bit of a reach, but it's better. I think you're better off just going with Bo Limmer. So, Bo Limmer, thank you. C+. I knew that was coming. Say what you want because I didn't choose Michael Pratt. It don't matter. They need interior linemen. It's a big argument, but you know what? Doesn't matter to me. They need interior O-line, and that's what I did. I took care of that position. And now Washington closes it out with us just hitting 11:59 now. We are talking linebacker. Finally, linebackers come off the board. Junior Colson, done. That's it. Linebacker was their biggest need at that point, and they took care of it. It's Junior Colson going to the Commanders. Done. Folks, we did it. Right before hitting the time. Right before hitting 12 o'clock, we've got it done. Oh, we did it, folks. It is over. We're stopping right here. We're going to do a quick review, and then we're going to sign off for the night. So, quick sign off for each team. Let's start with the Cardinals for what they had through 3 rounds. We'll finish up everything. I'll finish up everything tonight, and then you guys can all see it tomorrow. So, Cardinals got 6 picks in the first 3. Harrison Jr., Rakestraw Jr., Trice, Orhoro, and Peyton Wilson, along with Zach Center. That is their first 3 rounds. Atlanta, Dallas Turner, J.J. McCarthy, Javon Bullard, and Ricky Pearsall. Baltimore, Kamari Lassiter, Roman Wilson, Trey Benson. Buffalo, Keon Coleman, Kalen Carson, Makai Wingo. For Carolina, it's Adonai Mitchell and Cedric Van Pran. For Chicago, Caleb Williams, Romo Dunze, Christian Haynes. All great picks. Cincinnati, Amari Smims, Devontae Walker, McKinley Jackson. Cleveland, Chris Jenkins, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. For Dallas, Tyler Guyton, Kalen King, Christian Mahogany. Denver, Leatu Latu, Spencer Rattler. They trade up for that. Detroit Lions, Byron Murphy, Abram Strain, Nealand, McMillan. All great picks so far for Detroit. Green Bay, Morgan, Kinchins, Corm, Fisk, Melton. All 4 picks are just really good. Houston, Thomas Jr., Leonard Taylor, and Jaden Hicks. They weren't a fan of the Jaden Hicks pick that much, but I think it was great for where they were. Indianapolis, Terrion Arnold, Xavier Legette, Mason Smith. All really good picks for Indy. Jacksonville, Nate Wiggins, Jalen Polk, Gabe Murphy. All A's. Kansas City, Troy Franklin, Michael Jr., Cam Hart. All good picks. Las Vegas, Jaden Daniels, Devondre Sweat, Mike Sanristel. For the Chargers, Bowers, Zua Matea, DJ James. All really good picks so far. Rams, Quinyon Mitchell, Adisa Isaac, Kalen Bullock, Bo Limmer. They're not a fan of Bo Limmer because they think he's going to be like a 4th round, mid to late 4th round pick. But in this specific case, they needed interior O-linemen. They were going to run out of positions eventually. They had a long time before their next pick. It made sense to just get it done now. So they did. Get Bo Limmer. Deal with everything else later on. That's a good pick. And they also didn't think it was the biggest need, which I think is bullcrap, but okay. Miami, Fatanu, Beebe. You go down to the Vikings. First, Penix Jr. They get their quarterback of the future, and they get big help on the line. Patriots, Drake May, Ladd McConkey, Brandon Dorless. Really good picks for them. Saints, Latham and Worthy. Jets, Olu Fashanu, Malachi Corley. Get a receiver to pair with Jarrett Wilson now. You go to the Giants, it's Malik Neighbors, Patrick Paul, Graham Barton, Josh Newton, all really good all the way around. Just really building around what you have already in your core. The Eagles, Cooper DeJean, Tyler Nubin, Edgar Cooper, Christian Jones. Really more defensive focus, but they really need to build up the defense because the defense is the biggest thing that they're losing. Steelers, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Zach Frazier, Johnny Wilson. Get the receiver to help out with whatever quarterback is going to be in Pittsburgh. Likely Justin Fields. Niners, JPJ, Jonah Ellis, Blake Fisher, Cole Bishop. They weren't a fan of Fisher or Bishop, but it's because that they had to be picked. They were picked up a little earlier than expected, in positions they didn't feel were as big of needs. They thought offensive tackle was a good pick for what they needed, which I think was BS because it's their biggest need, but I digress. They could have afforded the wait up to that point. So, I'm not arguing with that. The simulator isn't always right. You guys know that. Seahawks, Jerson Newton, Kieran Amagaji, and Dominic Puny. All really good picks for them, line-based. Tampa, Chop Robinson, TJ Tampa, Brendan Rice. They get one receiver in case they lose Mike Evans to replace him, and they get a good corner to start soon, and they get good defensive pressure. Really good for Tampa. The Titans get Joe Alt and Darius Robinson. Really good picks all the way around. And then for the Commanders, it's Talise Fuaga, Bo Nix, Chris Braswell, Jatavion Sanders, and Junior Colson. How much better could it get? It's just perfect. And they still got 4 more picks to go that are actually really decent picks to move forward for the rest of the draft. But they get a tight end, they get their quarterback, they get protection for that quarterback, they get an edge rusher to build the pressure, and they get another linebacker to help out in coverage. Just all the way around, just really good. So, this is the draft so far. I'm going to continue this off of stream, but I thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you guys thought of the draft and everything. Like, give me all your updates, your opinions, all of that. Whether it be on social media or when I post it, you guys all see it. It's just, again, thank you all for tuning in. If you guys liked what you saw and you want to see more of this in the future, let me know. And you could also follow the channel on Twitch at The Brian Mansell Show and on YouTube at The Brian Mansell Show. Please consider subscribing to the channel. We have a lot of content coming out soon, including more player interviews from the Senior Bowl. But until then, have a good one, everybody. Enjoy your night. It is 12:04 a.m., and I'm going to try to finish this and get to bed early. So have a good night, everybody.
Broke down on the interstate. I didn't need that fucking car anyways. I think it's still got Colorado plates on it. When I drink, I lose my mind. I call 1, 2, 3 too many times. You probably fucked up with some guy you don't like again. And I know that it's wrong to think that you would change from me. I don't know what's wrong with me. Broke down on the interstate. I didn't need that fucking car anyways. I think it's still got Colorado plates on it. When I drink, I lose my mind. I called 1, 2, 3 too many times. You probably fucked up with some guy you don't like again. And I know that it's wrong to think that you would change from me.